Yes, indeed. It is the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. And just ahead, we talk to Ron Llewellyn, professor and director of the Shelby Automotive Program at Northeast Texas Community College. I got to drive the 2023 GMC Canyon. It's all new, you know.
Yeah.
This is a complete redo, and it's nice. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Conrad has the cruise-in calendar and This Week in Auto History. And later, we'll bring you the stories making automotive news this week. Just ahead on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. Go Astros. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us. And I teased that we were going to have news at the back of the hour. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to start off with that.
There we go.
And Ron's standing by, and we're going to get to him in just a second. But I wanted to give you the very latest that I have on the UAW strike via Automotive News. UAW President Shawn Fain on Friday cited a major breakthrough with General Motors over compensation for workers at electric vehicle battery plants in choosing not to order more workers onto the picket lines for the first time since the work stoppage began 3 weeks ago. Fain, in his weekly Friday broadcast on Facebook, said GM had agreed to put the battery plants under its master agreement, which would change the future of our union and the future of our industry.
Shocking.
Workers at GM's Ultium Cells plants in Ohio, the first of 4 U.S. battery-making locations it's planning, currently receive lower pay than assembly workers. It was not clear how GM would put battery plants under the master agreement. Master agreement, whatever that is. Most battery plants are being operated by joint ventures with other companies and cannot legally be part of the Detroit 3 negotiations. UAW and GM did not immediately respond to a request for comment by Automotive News. Fain said the achievement justifies the union's strategy to strike the Detroit 3. The UAW had planned to strike GM's hugely profitable full-size plant in Arlington, Texas, had the company not made the last-minute concession, he said.
And that's a moneymaker.
Yeah,
Full
big
size
money.
And the master plan is actually the contract.
I understand.
Yeah.
But
that covers everybody equally.
Yeah.
So Fain said GM's move made its offer leapfrog the pack, but also noted progress at Ford and Stellantis. About 25,000 UAW members across the Detroit 3 are on strike. Automakers have laid off roughly 4,000 additional workers because of production disruptions. Strikers are eligible for $500 a week from the UAW strike fund after 8 days off work, while the union has said it would also pay laid-off workers the equivalent of strike pay. So that's the very latest on that. All right.
You know, we're an automotive show. Maybe we should be part of that contract. You think?
No. No.
If we go on strike, will anybody care?
No, not at all.
They'll probably applaud.
Yeah, I was going to say, there may be a few people. We got a few comments out there on YouTube about our discussion of the UAW strike.
Oh, and how we're all wrong and we're worthless and blah,
yeah,
blah,
but
blah.
we've invited them to come on the show. Have any of them contacted you?
No, because they're not on parole.
Because I didn't invite them.
And none of them are on parole.
Cowards.
If you would like to get on the show, all you got to do is just send us an email, info@inwheeltime.com. I'm not either for or against it. I don't really am not a union kind of guy, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, and I don't think we've taken a stance either side. I think it's just some of the comments and some of the guests that we've had on that are, professors and study those supply side chains, the supply chain to see how things are going to impact other things. It seems to be where most of the comments.
Well, and in today's society, when you disagree with somebody, you have to try and destroy them as opposed to just have a calm conversation about people's differences.
We are the educated side of the discussion.
Ooh, thank you.
The educated
what
side.
he said.
Okay.
Well, I talked to a couple of friends of mine at Bowling Green, and they said, one of the key things to this is the 32-hour work week, because on a 32-hour work week, now you still work the same hours, but you get an additional 8 hours overtime at time and a half pay. So when your pay goes from $38 an hour to $50 an hour for the 40% increase that they're asking for, now your time and a half, your overtime pay is $75 an hour. And they said, that's a pretty key thing to them. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you think that's going to raise the price of a Corvette? The guy goes, "Who cares? People pay for a Corvette regardless."
Yeah, but
But some of the other comments though that I've heard is that it really won't raise the price of a car. It shouldn't raise the
No
price
horse
of a
hockey.
car.
It won't raise the price.
Well, I
of a
mean,
car.
just logic is if it costs you more to build it, it's going to cost you more.
But what happens if you're not selling them? Then you don't get the overtime because you're not in production, you're not in
not
assembly,
building
you're
them,
not
right.
building them. So
Yeah,
there's a catch-22 on that.
The other interesting thing, I've got a story later on, that apparently GM has the smallest number of cars on the car lots to buy right now.
days supply.
Days supply, as opposed to Stellantis and Ford. They're, as a matter of fact, Stellantis is swelling with cars on their lines.
I see Honda's virtually empty, Nissan's virtually empty. Where my travels go back and forth. Not a lot of cars now
For those dealers.
particular
And that's
manufacturers.
been the case with Honda for a while, because when we went through the pandemic,
Oh my gosh, yes.
remember when we all drove out to
Baytown.
Baytown, and that Honda store was absolutely empty.
Empty.
Except
They
for
didn't
a
even have
couple-
used cars.
Except for, I think they were having the employees park their cars out front.
Yeah, they
so
were.
it looked
I think it looked
they
like
had-
somebody was
had
there.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll continue that discussion throughout today's show. Right now, we're going to turn our attention to our first guest. His name is Ron Llewellyn. He's the Northeast Texas Community College professor and director of the Shelby Automotive Program. Ron, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. How you fellas doing?
Well, we're doing great, and thanks so much for joining us. I know that you wanted to sleep in this morning, probably till noon, but that ain't happening.
I'm a 7 o'clock in the morning guy every morning.
Oh, okay.
my.
Worked out perfect.
That's the afternoon shift.
Pretty much for us old people. So I know that Mr. Mars had an order in which he wanted to talk to you about things up there and things that you've got going with your program. So,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mars, we just turn it over to you and let you do your thing.
Well, I find it real interesting that this Shelby Automotive Program, the story behind how it came to be, and that kind of goes into the story you have about the last Shelby that you have there. It's in a museum of some sort. I saw the green one. That's what I saw.
Yeah, it's in a museum in Pittsburgh, Texas.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Pittsburgh
Wait. Pittsburgh, Texas. Is something just
Pittsburgh, Texas.
where in the world is Pittsburgh, Texas?
Well, it's about 38 miles north of Tyler.
Okay.
Okay.
So it would be considered in the Arklatex.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you. Not too many people use that term
No.
anymore, but I think it's really
The
good
Arklatex,
because
yeah.
it's right up there in northeast Texas, up
Yeah.
there where oil was discovered. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's in a museum in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is like one of the bedroom communities is where Carroll was actually born. I mean, he lived there until he was 12 or 13 years old. That's his Texas roots. That's where he was actually born and raised through his childhood.
Okay. Well, that kind of makes a connection to the Northeast Texas, your community college there. How he was so involved. How he became so involved with it, and that one in particular.
Yeah, when Carroll started the program, it was just a few years before he passed away. And this story with this last Shelby is the car was bought and was to be restored by students. And a lot of the local shops in Mount Pleasant actually got involved in it. Of course, I mean, a show grade, restoration of a car done by students, you might not want to see that completely. So some of the local shops got involved with this with students' help. And this car was the last car purchased and owned and titled to Carroll Shelby that was a Shelby. So it's a 68 Shelby GT350, and it's an old Hertz car that was a Hertz rental car.
Oh, so it's got even more added value.
Yeah. So
This
and
is
it
so
was found in upstate New York, and Carroll actually knew the man that owned the car, and he bought the car and had it shipped down here to the school. And it was really rough when it got here, but there's a shop here, a body shop here in town, Hanson's Automotive in Mount Pleasant, that did all the paint and body work on it. They actually changed ownership. The two guys that were painters in the shop that did the restoration on the car actually bought the shop here about a year and a half ago, and we put the shop on display in their showroom for about 6 months. I mean, to give them some recognition for the work they've done on this project with
Sure.
this car.
Where is Northeast Texas Community College located?
It is the most unique situation for community college that you could imagine. It's out in farmlands about 7 miles outside of Mount Pleasant, Texas, and about 6.5 to 7 miles from Pittsburgh, Texas. So it's out in a rural setting.
Well, what we call you're out in the sticks.
Yeah, we're out in the sticks. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mars.
So that's kind of how the car got there and how he got involved. So it's the Shelby Foundation that established the program there at the college, and helps keep it going. So what all does the foundation, your automotive program, the Shelby Foundation, do there at the school?
Well, they write us a check every year for $50,000 to scholarship our students. They work out the connections with the Shelby, community to us or with us with other entities in the country, so that we've got connections with other shops to intern our students and to give us help. I mean, we get a lot of help from different places around the country. In that museum we're speaking of, there's another 68 convertible. It's a GT 500 KR, King of the Road, 427 side oiler. I mean, this car was restored by a place in Roaring Springs, Pennsylvania. The guy's name is Barry Smith, was real good friends with Carroll. His shop that he has, it's a legendary GT in Roaring Springs, right outside of Altoona. They built 2 of these cars for us 2 years ago and donated them to the school. These cars have been appraised at about $250,000 a piece. We're fixing to put one of these things on the auction block at Barrett-Jackson in February this year.
Why?
We're bringing that car out to SEMA to give one more shot to the Ford fanatics at SEMA before we put this thing on the auction block.
Why are you selling it?
Well, I mean, the whole idea of this, him donating the cars to us, we're getting recognition for the Shelby name brand, especially the shop like his, the first gen rebuilders of these cars, and they want to put money into scholarship money for these kids to help them. We want to try to perpetuate the scholarship thing we've got going on for these kids.
How many students do you have?
So this year the numbers are up. We've got about 70 students this year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Students, so.
Up from normally, what's the normal attendance?
I'm sorry?
What is the normal attendance? It's up from what
Well,
number?
I mean, it fluctuates. I mean, anywhere from 50 to like 60, but we're actually, I'm really, surprised this year. I've been teaching for 21 years this year, and this is the first time I've ever seen this in 2-year program. We've actually got more sophomores come back this year for a second year than we have freshmen incoming this year. It never happens. So, I've got to give kudos to my first year instructor, Zach Strawbridge. I mean, he did a really good job of motivating these kids to want to come back and finish a degree or a 2-year certificate.
Do you have any kids from the Houston area?
No, so I'm sorry, not at this time. We don't.
That's a shame.
But maybe we will now that we're on your show.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So what is the plan after graduation for your students? Do you have, is there a career path that they're intending to follow, or are they just going to go into the general population of automotive technicians?
Well, we try our best to place these kids. I mean, my best intern at that shop in Altoona that we spoke of. I've got interns that go to every summer. I send an internship class of either 2 to 6 to Shelby American in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I've got another shop in Dallas Fort Worth area, Classic Recreations. We send 2 to 4 kids there every summer too.
So it's a lot more. It's a lot more than just sitting there working on cars. There, you've got opportunities that go beyond your facility there.
And do your students, when they graduate, do they understand not just the restoration process of classic cars, but do they also understand the uniqueness of the Shelby product at, in 67, here were the engines that were available. Here's what the differences of the nomenclature meant as far as between GT350 and
GT500. Yes,
sir.
So here's the uniqueness about us offering the scholarship money to them. We actually give them a class coming in on the history of Shelby and his business, and they have to write an essay and explain to us, the life and the history and the story of Carroll Shelby before they can receive any of this money from the Shelby Foundation.
Wow.
Very good. So they got to qualify. So before we run out of time, we wanted to kind of shift gears. You've got an event coming up next weekend, a dyno day. as part of an open house that you're having there on the campus if anybody wants to come and check things out. But you're also going to add an EV program there.
Yes, sir. So the building was finished this last summer. I mean, we were really fortunate with that EV building. It's a completely conditioned building. It's about, I think, about 40,000 square feet. It's pretty good size.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
that's
it's
good.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're setting this up now. We're in the process of doing a repower on a 79 Cobra. We've got a 66 first gen that's in the whole shop for a repower. We've got all the stuff from Legacy EV in Arizona to do that conversion on it. So that's how we're teaching this to these kids, is we're repowering these older cars so they can, install all these components, motors, motor controllers, inverters, and all into these cars, so they kind of get a better idea, I think, of how these things are put together and how they work.
Which is
We're gonna
definitely
showcase that building with this open house, and we've got an in-ground chassis dyno. It's a DynoJet dyno.
okay.
And we do this at least once or sometimes twice a year. We bring in, the local Texas hot rodders to come in, and we put in a viewing area that's got a big screen TV, like a 65-inch screen TV. And we set up a stadium seating. So we bring these cars in, the kids strap these things down, and we have like a peeing contest on who can get the best numbers.
Hey, you don't try to blow up any diesels, do you? I think that's a lot of
it. We do
it.
run some diesels, and we've had some pretty high-performance Dodge Cummins on this thing. I think I've seen one making almost 880 horsepower on it.
Jeez.
You know what? We need an intern.
We need an
we got
intern.
Suze.
We have the Suze down here. She's taking a nap right now, but I'm thinking that I'm absolute. Get us going on one of those interns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'd love to send somebody down there. I mean, I've got several kids that are real personal.
It's like a
That'd
jail
be a real
sentence.
good fit for them.
Yeah. It'd be just like jail time.
Yeah.
Yeah, community service.
All right. So tell us. So it's next weekend is the event.
Next Saturday, it runs from 9 to probably about 4. We've got it scheduled to 2. But when you're lining these cars up to pull them on this dyno, I mean, we usually do anywhere from 30 to 35 cars on a day.
Gotcha. Are you full of reservations already?
No, we're not taking reservations. It's a first
Come, first serve.
I see. Okay. Well, so
Send some video to Mike.
I was going to say a little trip up there to. Let's see. If we leave here about 5 o'clock in the morning, we should make it up there easy and plenty of time for your 9 o'clock start.
Yes, sir. We'd love to have some of you folks from down there. That'd be great. I think I've got a couple from the San Antonio area, the Shelby Club there, that have already committed, but I haven't heard back from your local club there. Any of those guys have committed.
Oh, have
Randy
John
Weldon.
Yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
What's going on, bud?
Yeah, exactly. So, Randy, we'll put you in touch with Ron here, and maybe you could have a contingent of Houston, Texas folks go up there.
We could enroll Randy into his class.
There you go.
There you go.
Ron, it's great to talk to you, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us today. Great info
Thank you,
there
guys.
in the Shelby Automotive program at Northeast Texas Community College.
Thank you guys for having me back. I'd love to come on anytime you guys want, man.
What an exciting program you have.
Yeah, we're all excited about it. So
Yep.
Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Good luck next weekend.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
You bet.
You get some of those conversions done. It may be interesting to get maybe we could take a little tour of that new shop and see some of this work they're doing.
Exactly.
Well, and they seem not just the relationship with Shelby, but they seem to be a little bit on the cutting edge of where hot rodding is going, because they're doing what he calls the repower. And there's a lot of builders out there that are adding EVs to classic cars.
Well, he's covering both sides of the fence because he's got the classic hot rods. He's got the Shelby. Now he's introducing the program for EV. So that's great. That's
Hopefully he's not taking like a real GT350 and turning it into an EV. Hopefully it's just kind of like a Mustang that
He'd
looks like a
wind up the Huntsville State Penitentiary real quick.
Yeah,
if he
the
did
Shelby people, the purists, would be pretty unhappy with that.
I think that they would be. Okay, Mr. Mars, you did a good job there.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
Brett,
Blind
you
hog
get to
finds
keep
an
your
acre
job.
once in a while.
squirrel
You're
finds
being
it out every once in a while.
You're being replaced with an intern.
Yeah. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for the cruise-in calendar. That's the cruise-in calendar, not the events calendar.
Cruise-in calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So the D&M True Value in West Montgomery is going to have a car meetup, and they start at 6 p.m. And that's a free cruise-in
Tonight?
Tonight. Also, the Car Church at the Segundo Coffee Lab.
Car Church?
Car Church at 711 Milby in Houston. That's 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. tomorrow. Clutch Bar Meet, 5334 Washington Avenue in Houston. That's 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. today. The Turbo Tuesday Twin Peaks Meet at Lewis Henna Boulevard in Round Rock is 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. today. Park and Pizza at Mod Pizza at 5102 FM 1463 in Katy, Texas. The Park and Chill at Bahama Mamas at 9116 Grand Parkway in Tomball is 6 to 9 p.m. And then the car show at Grace Church in the Grace Woodlands is 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Thank you, sir.
And that's today.
Okay. Time now for this hour's car review. I got to drive the 2023 GMC Canyon. And I forgot to put the available trim levels here, but of course we had the top of the line as always. The four-wheel drive AT4X Crew Cab. This is what is considered a small truck. It's not. It's
it's a
mid-size.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not much smaller than the trucks of old.
No.
5 passengers, including the driver. Exterior changes from last model year. It's a complete redesign for 2023. And boy, did GM do a great job on that.
Yeah, they did a mid-cycle refresh on that, and it's beautiful. They really changed the look of the truck.
Exterior features. Probably, in my opinion, today, it would get the best-looking award. Bulging fenders, big tires, with a serious grill.
It's a truck.
It's a man's truck.
Yeah, it's a manly man.
Skid plate up front with red tow hooks, black lower valance. Handy storage in the lowered tailgate. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a unique feature that I've never seen before. Because, tailgates generally don't have anything in them.
Yeah, they're hollow.
They're hollow. So why not use that little hollow space? So when you lower the tailgate up toward the actual bed of the truck on the tailgate, there is a compartment that runs the entire width of the tailgate. Open it up. You can put baseball gloves in there.
Wet
Work
gear,
gloves,
wet
chains,
shoes,
maybe some
things like
tools.
that.
Yeah. It's not really thick. Don't get me wrong. It's a height requirement there that it's a.
But something different and unique.
It is. It's pretty cool, I thought. It does have a full-size spare under the bed, old school, but I like it. We don't have to call, AAA out to have them change the tire to
Put the Mini on.
Yeah, exactly. It has those bumper steps in the back like the big boys, like the big
Which
truck.
makes sense. Why was that not done in the 60s? Because it just makes sense. It was on the step sides, and that's why they were called step sides. But that little notch in the bumper is just almost genius for its simplicity.
Headed on the Avalanche.
I never understood why they carried the step side bed into the modern era. It's old school. That's from way back at the beginning of trucks. That whole step side thing.
I think it was just to be different.
Style point.
Yes,
or
but
something.
what a waste of space. It's a waste. Anyway, it's my feeling.
Wasted days and wasted nights.
Mm-hmm. What could use improvement on this? Nothing. Interior highlights. Awesome dash. Faux leather accents on the lower dash. Built-in infotainment screen, and that's a pet peeve of mine when they're not built in.
When they kind of extend out of the top and look kind of
like,
weird, like an add-on that the engineer
afterthought.
forgot to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome seating, both in look and support. They're comfortable and it works. Are you driving a new one?
Yes, I got
another
Canyon.
one. I got another Canyon. Apparently, they've loaded up our supplier with Canyons.
The Canyon truck came in.
Yeah. So why did I get it? Because that was my question. Why did I get it? Why are you giving to me another one? Oh, it's a different trim level. And it's amazing the difference in the trim levels between the one that I'm current. It doesn't have the X on it. The X signifies that it's really an off-roader. You know, dual shocks in the back. I mean, it's got all of the off-road stuff on it. This one is a mild street version of it. And it is definitely different. I'll tell you about that in my next report in a couple of weeks on this one that I'm driving now. Anyway, continuing on with this one. Awesome seating, as I said. 60/40 rear split seat. Bed is small, and it's the only one available. So don't think that you're going to get a 4x8 sheet of plywood back there, because this is not a full-size pickup truck. What I liked about it, passive phone charger, easy. It's all right there. You just throw your phone in there and boom, you're done. Because I had a vehicle here last week that I actually had to shove it in there and work it around because my phone was too big for the slot that it had.
Oh, good. Do you have a cover on your phone?
Yeah, and it was the cover.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't have a cover on their phone? Don't tell me you don't.
Oh, I've got a cover on my phone.
What could use improvement? The instrumentation display is a little small for my tired old eyes that I have to squint and
not configurable like some of the other new ones are.
No, and the gas gauge is at about that big. See my finger? About that big. It's about three quarters of an inch long, and it's very hard to read. I couldn't tell when it was a quarter of a tank. So that could use improvement there. 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed automatic transmission. It tows up to 6,000 pounds with a haul rating.
With the 4-cylinder turbo, 6,000 pounds? That's actually pretty good.
It is.
Because that's kind of the base engine in the full-size truck now, too.
Mm-hmm. Haul rating, 1,640 pounds. Miles per gallon, 16, 16, and 16. I got 17.4 over 309.2 miles. What I liked about it, plenty of power for a four-banger. Who would have thunk? What could use improvement? Nothing. Ride and handling? Well, it's a truck, but the ride is more compliant than most trucks today.
Well, and
this is the off-road
version, so that's surprising. That
it has more travel and
those $high shocks.
$high shocks, big time. What could use improvement? I had to dream up something, so I said air ride suspension. I don't know why, but I can't think of anything else. Base trim, $55,500. That's the base trim price. Remember, this is the top of the line Canyon. Price is tested $58,640.
Wow.
Base model price is $36,600. Competitors, its cousin, the Chevy Colorado, $29,200. Ford Ranger, $29,585, and the Toyota Tacoma, $29,430. And that's my review of the 2023 GMC Canyon.
Good looking
The In-Wheel
truck,
Time Car Talk show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts are available on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk show continues right after this quick break. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show today, coming to you from Tubby's Drive-In. Just ahead, a look at the brand new EVs coming your way in 2024. Conrad has This Week in Auto History, and we'll get you caught up on the stories making automotive news this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, who's in charge of everything. King Conrad DeLong, who wants to be in charge of everything. We need more Jeff Zekin,
who shouldn't be in charge of anything.
Who's not in charge of anything. And I certainly enjoy the Jeff Zekin fan club because I'm not and don't want to be in charge of anything either. I'm Don Armstrong. Last time I
and
looked,
nobody else wants to be.
And nobody else wants to be. That's for darn sure. Good morning to you.
For Don Sure.
That's for Don Sure. Thank you. So I ran across this. Automotive News put this thing together, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And it's kind of lengthy, but I thought that we would just do it just for the heck of it. And the title of the story is More Than 50 EVs to join the next wave through 2024. Now, part of the reason also is to give me an opportunity to talk to Mr. Mars about a comment that he made about something that I charged him to do.
Moi?
You. And that was to perhaps maybe think about putting an EV segment together on a weekly basis of the show.
Yes.
And right off the get-go, we discovered that there weren't too many people that were willing to lend their thoughts to the segment without an excessive amount of pay. Really? I'm not getting paid anything. You getting paid anything? Are we getting paid anything here?
It seems like
We're not paying guests.
Our tax dollars go to paying a lot for EVs with all the funding they get from the federal government.
I got a story on that too.
And that's the other thing we ran into. It's very hard to have this discussion without somebody bringing politics into it from one side or the other.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Mm-hmm. Because
George offered MasterCard or Visa.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
One of the things that was kind of disappointing in our conversation, the politics that is involved in getting the word out in a non-biased way about EVs. Because everybody's got their own opinion, and their opinion out trumps all of the others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right, and you're wrong.
What is that? Why can't we have a regular discussion about EVs?
And without having it forced on us, which is what's ultimately happening.
And, everybody, everything's going to go EV. No, it's not. It is not. And I've said it from the very beginning. It is just going to be another fold of the automobile business, just like car dealers taking on trucks back in the 20s. Because remember, you used to
or
have
the way they took on trucks in the 80s, and now they've overpowered the cars.
Right.
And now, it's like Texas is almost 70% of the vehicles they sell in Texas are trucks.
Well, I watch a show called Car Issues. It's a funny show. I like it. The guy goes out and tries to buy a car, and he buys it and, pays a used car, pays cash for it, that sort of thing. And he went and bought a 1980 Mercury station wagon.
Nice.
And ultimately put it in a destruction derby where it needed to be because it was nothing but a rust bucket. But those cars were the forerunner of SUVs. The minivan. Yeah. The minivan. craze, which folded into SUVs. But not everybody has an SUV. Not everybody has a minivan. Not everybody has a car. It's a whole mix-up of things that are on the road these days. And that's the way I think that electrics are going to be, at least in my lifetime.
It'll be a
what's left
piece of it, but it can't be the only piece.
Correct. Correct. So to that end, and to what Mars was talking about, it's odd to me that, you know, all of the people that tout their EVs would all get together and kind of be on the same page. No, they're not. My EV's better than yours. This company's spending more money on EVs. And the odd thing about it to me is the most successful of all of the EVs and EV companies is Tesla,
Elon.
who didn't even exist 10 years ago. You couldn't go buy a Tesla. Didn't even exist. Might have been in somebody's mind, Elon's mind, but that's it. So now all of a sudden, the president
to go from that to building 400,000 units a year is pretty remarkable.
Well, and now the president is touting the fact that, you know, EVs the future. Well, okay, they're a segment of the future.
Well, they are, and that's one of the problems we ran into when we started doing the research, trying to figure out, you know, where do we get information from that doesn't include that? And there's one letter that I get that I subscribe to, and it's all about EVs. Oh, you know, that's the future, and it's all green and everything cool. But it very quickly, when you get their weekly post, very quickly the government must do this. The government must force people. People have to. You've got to go this way. You've got to do green. You've got to. It's for your own good. And that's where you get into the politics of it that divides everybody on it.
The weeds.
It's not. Yeah. It should be just like you want a Buick, you want a Ford, you want an Oldsmobile, you want a Pontiac, or you want a Tesla, you want
a 4-cylinder, you want an 8-cylinder.
Exactly, it should be that way, but it's not. They've driven it into the ground to the point
they believe that they have to force the issue.
That's right, because they're right and nobody else and everybody else is wrong because they know better, and that's what makes it so difficult. I personally see a place for EVs. I mean, I look at my wife and her driving pattern and what she does. She could easily drive a full-blown EV.
Yes.
I'm not that comfortable with it because every once in a while she wants to go to Houston or she wants to go there, someplace that, to me, a hybrid makes much more sense.
Right. Today it does, yes.
Yes.
So let me get into this story, and this is from Automotive News. Back in 2017, the Chevrolet Bolt was newly available nationwide. Tesla CEO Elon Musk was promising a $35,000 electric vehicle called the Model 3. 6 years later, the first-generation Bolt is on its way out, and the Model 3 is one of the top-selling cars in the U.S., though Tesla never managed to hit that $35,000 price target. As for the auto industry's product pipeline, it would be easier to list all the non-EVs now on the way instead. So let's start with alphabetical order, okay? We're not going to play the politics, just alphabetical order. Acura ZDX. Acura's debut electric crossover will go on sale in early 2024. Audi A6 e-tron. Mid-sized electric sedan will debut in 2025 and carry the A6 family nameplate on the PPE platform, whatever that is. The Q6 e-tron mid-sized electric crossover will debut Volkswagen Group's next-generation PPE platform, which Audi shares with Porsche in the second half of 2024. BMW i5. They're going to roll out several variants of its newest electric nameplate, including rear and all-wheel drive variants. BMW i7. This fall, BMW is expanding its electric 7 Series lineup with a single-motor rear-wheel drive variant. The i7 eDrive 50 rear axle-mounted motor delivers 449 horsepower. A more powerful 650 horsepower dual-motor i7 M70X drive arrives later this year. Here's one. BrightDrop Zevo.
What?
Never heard of them.
Me either.
I've got all their
the
albums.
Zevo 400 from GM's electric delivery van
red
unit.
hat they wore.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
GM's electric delivery van unit offers more than 400 cubic feet of cargo space for shorter and more frequent deliveries, kind of like the Transit Connect,
Yep.
such as groceries, Production is expected to begin in the fourth quarter of this year. The Bright Drop. Never heard of it.
Well, and that's another one of the things I don't see a good place for that in Texas. I relate everything to Texas.
Well, I do. I see it in urban areas like this, out here in Sugar Land. Delivery vehicle. DoorDash. That's what I thought immediately. The Buick Electric crossover. They're going to bring to market their first, but the brand confirmed that the 5-seat Electra E5 crossover for China late last year, while leaving room for the possibility that the E5 could come stateside.
Well, that's a good renewal of the name Electra.
I agree. And that's why I read the story.
And a 225 that you got to power
Deuce
with.
and a quarter.
Got to power with a 220 volt system.
Or have a 225-mile range.
And what a great platform to do a conversion on. Find yourself a nice, clean, obviously older Buick Electra 225, electrify it.
Yeah.
Boom.
There's a guy in town,
and
he's got a black drop top, and
Yep.
he gets it out every once in a while, and it's so cool looking.
And tub it out.
Always. Cadillac Escalade IQ.
Oh, yeah.
2025 Escalade IQ offers a slate of advanced technology, luxury comfort, sleek design cues that carve out a distinct identity while also respecting the equity that the SUV has built for consumers for 25 years. It comes with an eye-popping base price around $130,000 with shipping more than every configuration of today's Escalade except the V-Series performance version.
I'd rather have a V-Series.
And a GM estimated 450-mile range. Production is set to begin summer of next year at GM's Factory Zero electric vehicle assembly in Detroit.
I wonder if that's an evolution of the Ioniq, which Cadillac's already announced and has released, but they can't build any.
Isn't this weekend, the Cadillac Test Drive for Electrics?
Right.
For the invitation, you got to sign up.
Cadillac Celestiq, or Celestic, whatever you want to call it.
Celestiq.
Celestiq.
Yeah, well,
Pinky
It's
out.
their handmade.
a sleek, futuristic-looking
$300,000.
5-door electric sedan will begin production in December and will go on sale early next year, as long as the strike doesn't hamper that.
And all of these manufacturer suggested, 400, 500-mile range is all a bunch of horse hockey, too. They never get there.
Correct. The Chevrolet Blazer EV is coming, along with the Chevy Bolt EUV.
See, they should have called the Bolt the Blazer because they recalled them for fires about 3 different times.
He's not bitter towards
No, not
GM
at
at all. Chevy Silverado EV. And, of course, they're all going after the Ford
Lightning.
And really, fully loaded retail trim level. The $106,895 RST First Edition, scheduled to arrive this fall, with the GM estimated 400-mile range. The Cruise Origin,
Okay.
slated to start imminently at Factory Zero in Detroit. Dodge Challenger EV, Dodge Charger EV. See, I thought that they were going to go away with the names and the cars altogether. Apparently not.
The styling of that car should be a gasoline car. That thing is gorgeous.
And Charger's a good name for it.
Thank you. Fiat 500e. I know that you're going to be the first to belly up.
No
for that.
politics. Don't get politics in
Yeah.
this.
First quarter of 2024. Mustang Mach-E. Of course,
Fix it
it's out
again,
already.
Tony.
GMC Sierra EV. Honda Prologue. Hyundai Ioniq 5.
Mhm.
The Hyundai Kona Electric. Is that what you had, Mars?
I had the hybrid plug-in electric. Yeah.
Okay, hybrid, plug-in electric. Jeep Recon. Electric Recon is an eco-friendly off-roader inspired by the Wrangler that will have removable doors and glass to offer open-air experiences. Production begins next year. I did not know that they were going to make a vehicle
Full
in
EV.
competition with the Wrangler. But it's the Jeep Recon. Jeep Wagoneer S. The SEV is an upscale midsize entry with a design language that separates it from the larger 3-row counterparts. Jeep is targeting a range of 400 miles and aims to have 600 horsepower. Okay. Kia EV5. compact crossover concept. Originally, it's expected to launch in the U.S. late next year as a 2025 model. Kia EV9. Kia unveiled its boxy Telluride size EV9 electric crossover in April at the New York Auto Show, promising premium accommodations, a target all-electric range of 300 miles, and ultra-fast charging. Land Rover, Range Rover, that's coming out in an electric version.
I tickled him.
Well, Land Rover, Range Rover, and the quality of a Jaguar stand pretty close together, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Uh-huh. I see fires on the freeway all over the
I
town.
predict thermal events.
Yeah, me too.
Mutual of Omaha stuck out in the woods somewhere, and you can't get a charger.
On fire. Can't even get a fire extinguisher. Lucid Air. Lucid is adding a Sapphire ultra-performance luxury version of its four-door sedan this year. Three-motor, 1,234 horsepower Air Sapphire will come fully loaded at $250,000 with shipping.
Stunning looking car.
But $250,000?
And what's the name of this?
Lucid.
Lucid. Okay.
Lucid Air Sapphire. Company is estimating acceleration of 0 to 60 in 1.89 seconds, beating Tesla's Model S Plaid.
All I'm going to say
Lucid,
is
the way you feel after 4 margaritas and a doobie.
And a dude.
all I'm going to say is for $250,000, that car better do things that you can't talk about in mixed company. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Listen to Mars go.
No.
Vibrating seat.
No politics, Mike.
Maserati Gran Turismo. Electric option will top 1,200 horsepower. Okay. Mercedes-Benz e-Sprinter.
That's what we need.
A battery-powered U.S.-made version of the Sprinter van arrives in the fourth quarter of this year. E-Sprinter will be available in Europe with 3 battery options and can be configured as a delivery van, flatbed truck, or ambulance.
Didn't they stop production on the Sprinter like a year ago?
No, it's
Mercedes?
still there. It's still there.
Yeah, they paused production because they had some sort of
They stopped production of the Dodge because
Because they had a
Dodge
low boy and a tall
right.
tall
And
truck.
then Freightliner makes a version of it as well.
Mini Cooper EV. The Cooper SE ends production next year in Oxford, England. Many will replace it globally with a subcompact hatchback EV built in China on a new platform smaller than the current hardtop. Polestar 3.
And Polestars, they're actually
That's Volvo.
they've been around a while. They've been building
I
a lot
see.
of cars.
I see one. I don't know if it's the same
Every now
one.
and then.
Yeah, there's a white one that runs around where I live.
Midsize crossover on the Polestar 3, built on the new SPA 2 all-electric platform, sports dual motors and has an estimated EPA range of up to 300 miles. Should arrive by the second half of 2024. Polestar 4, that one's coming. Porsche Macan, going to be an electric-powered, and its production starts in Leipzig, Germany this fall. Porsche Taycan, the sports car maker's first EV, receives a freshen in the first half of...
And that's been a pretty successful car.
It has. Yeah, it's expensive, too. Ram 1500 Rev. Mars? Familiar with that?
No, sir. I mean, I've heard the name,
REV.
but I haven't seen anything about it.
Begin selling electric version of the 1500 pickup truck in 2024. Ram ProMaster, large van getting an electric variant this year. Rivian R1S, R1T.
I saw a Rivian leaving when I left last Saturday from here, going up 59. First time I've seen one in the wild.
Pretty
The
good.
truck.
Yeah.
It was a dark green one. It was
Different-
actually not
different-
a bad look.
yeah.
Yeah, a little odd looking, but
How
pretty
about
cool.
the Rolls-Royce Spectre? Remember the
Sphincter?
Oh, yeah.
not the Sphincter, the Spectre. I'm thinking of James Bond.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I am too. Yeah.
Tesla Cybertruck, that's due out next year.
Yeah, I'm holding my breath for that one.
And a
Yeah,
Tesla Model 3, complete redo on that one. It's going to be a big seller. Tesla Roadster, Musk's latest estimate is for 2024 on that. VinFast VF6 and VF7, they're coming. VinFast and the VF9. Good luck. 84,000 for the VF9. Volkswagen ID Buzz, kind of looking for that. That's the microbus-looking thing that's all brand new.
And they'll sell the critters out of that.
Oh, absolutely. Volkswagen ID4, ID7, and Volvo EX30, China-made compact crossover, arrives the first half of next year. And then finally, the Volvo EX90, 7-seat large premium crossover.
So why does Volvo do Polestar, which is kind of like a stripper name, and the Volvo, and they're both doing EVs when they're kind of competing with each other?
Well, Polestar used to be the performance arm of Volvo.
Right?
I don't have an answer for that, but I'm sure that there's more than one answer.
Shared parts.
No,
Yeah.
Shared parts,
Well,
maybe,
body.
but yeah.
All I can think of is there are, Chevrolet, Buick, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, didn't they all compete against each other?
Sure.
Really?
Yep.
So,
With a little bit different offering.
and I would imagine that the Volvo name takes with it probably an older group of folks than the Polestar.
Right.
And they're probably trying to
A little bit
capitalize.
different styling, a
Correct.
little bit different.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
But one of the things that we ran into when we started looking into this, like all these vehicles are coming out, 50 are coming out in the next 2 years, basically. But the problems with them that nobody addresses, we got to have them. They're green. They got to be good. But they don't talk about the problem with the fires
Or where you're going to charge them.
or the charging,
Or what are you going to do to dispose of the car after it's been totaled in a collision and the truly environmental mess that car can be?
Well, particularly whenever you look at the insurance companies now, because of the liability, if that battery housing has a crack in it, they're going to total the whole car.
Yep.
They don't care
They've already said that.
Yeah. So now you're going to take what could be perfectly good batteries out of this housing, and you got to dispose of them some way. There's somebody will come up with some sort of recycle, but are you going to want to put recycled batteries in your car?
Well, and George says there's legislation looking at charging a recycling fee on EV battery changeout, which makes sense. You got to remember you got to pay a tire disposal fee, $3 in the state of Texas when you change a tire.
Sometimes that's waived, and that's just so minuscule compared to what the price is.
Well,
Well,
okay, so here's one for you. My buddy that I work with has a Tesla Model 3 and had a flat on it. Ran over something. $900
Yeah,
for
he told us that.
one tire.
Well, that's the other thing. Remember, we've learned that they've got to have special tires
That's
for
right.
an EV
Because they're so
they're
heavy.
heavier that nobody talks about. Got different. Some of them have got to have special tow rigs.
Well, now
You
the
can't
state
just
of
call a
Texas
wrecker.
is going to charge an extra $200 for registration because they're not getting that money
On fuel.
On the fuel.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could go on and on without this, and we shall at a later time. But Conrad has This Week in Auto History.
He does.
And I think I missed you last week in auto history, and I'm
Well, that's
sorry
okay.
about that.
This week in auto history, the Duryea brothers tested their first car in 1893, making what historians consider to be the first time a U.S.-built gas-powered vehicle was operated in this country. In 1926, Henry Ford announced, and this is where Ford and the UAW were such good buddies, Henry Ford announced an 8-hour, 5-day work week for 40-hour work week. This decision was made by one of the most prominent figures in the automotive industry and far-reaching implications not only for Ford, but for other labor practices worldwide. And with that, now they're wanting a 32-hour work week. And Ford probably will give in to them. Who knows? In 1948, Honda Motor Company was incorporated. In 1957, did you know that Vespa, the motor scooters, they built a car called the Vespa 400. It got in 1957.
I like
got
it.
48 miles to a gallon. The French scooter company introduced the Vespa 400 in Monaco in 1957. The company execs created so much fanfare at the launch, it had invited 3 racing celebrities to a press event to drive it around the Monaco Grand Prix course. The unpopularity of the vehicle wrote its own demise because it was a 2-stroke. So you had to mix gasoline and oil to get it to run, which in today's world won't work.
Yeah. It needs a wing.
It needs a wing.
And a scoop.
The big wing on the back to help you push it. In 1963, the first ads ran for the Chevrolet Chevelle.
All right.
Officially introduced by Bunky Knudsen at a press conference, the Chevelle was the only all-new U.S. car in the 1964 model year. And some people say, well, what about the 64.5 Mustang? Well, it was a 64.5, almost a 65 Mustang. Ford marketed and VIN the first Mustangs as all 1965s. The Chevelle, which is Hebrew for "My God is a vow," or a bold and beautiful, fill the gap between the smaller Chevy 2 and Chevrolet full-size vehicles. And Chevelle was an icon in Chevrolet probably all the way into the upper 80s that they were building Chevelles. So, and the first year they sold 338,000 units of the Chevelle. And next, if you click one, that is the first ad that came out for the Chevelle. In 1969, this week, the Dodge Challenger hit the market as a 1970 model year. It was a direct response to competition from the other automakers in what's called the pony car market, Ford, Mustang, Chevrolet, Camaro. The Challenger was built on the Mopar E-body platform. Plymouth already had the Barracuda. Dodge didn't have one, so they built the Challenger, which is a slightly longer wheelbase, but basically the same platform. That's This Week in Auto History.
All right. Thank you, sir. And one quick note here in the headlines. The 3-week-old UAW strike against the Detroit 3 so far has not significantly dented the automaker's U.S. inventory levels, though General Motors dealerships are the most at risk of running low, according to a new analysis. This from Automotive News. Cox Automotive said Thursday that Chevy and Cadillac have the lowest inventory levels among the domestic brands at 57 and 46 days, respectively, and some of the brand's most profitable nameplates are in tighter supply than that, according to Cox's auto inventory data. Stellantis, by contrast, has the most inventory among the Detroit 3, Cox said, meaning it could be better positioned to withstand prolonged production stoppages. Strike began September 15th, with just 2 weeks left in the third quarter. UAW's decision to target specific vehicle segments rather than launch a strike at every Detroit 3 assembly plant has had a relatively muted impact to date, according to analysts. Time now for a quick break. We'll be right back. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Stay with us. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere.
Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance is proud to be a part of America's largest block party. It's the 27th annual Cruising the Coast, October 1st through the 8th. Great antique, classic, hot rod, and dragsters all along a 30-mile stretch of beach. Bay St. Louis, Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Pascagoula, and more. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance will be on site October 5th through the 8th at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, manning the Chevrolet trailer displays. Come see us for additional information at cruisingthecoast.com. Biggest race in the country. Also, Rogers Dab Chevrolet GM Performance is proud to be a part of the 10th annual Lone Star 600 at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite. October 6 and 7, $25,000 to win. Any car can race and is locked into the race. 300 laps, both nights, 7 o'clock start times. Racers from all around the U.S. and beyond. Additional information at LoneStar600.com. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance.
The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. From the Sugar Shack Studios in Texas, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Space City Corvette Club has a show on the calendar, and we'll learn all about it. Jeff has a segment on fall road trips where you can see some real foliage instead of all of the dead leaves on your yard that just seem to appear. I don't know. They come from the trees, I guess, somewhere. Conrad has the racing calendar and car clinic, and later we have the stories making auto news headlines this week. Just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy to you, along with Mike out of this world Mars down there on the inn in his pretty green shirt. And in his twin brother's green shirt, he's got Conrad DeLong.
Hello, Ma.
And over here we have...
Does your mom listen?
Huh?
Does your mom listen to the show?
No.
Does she know what you do?
No.
Kind of.
Yeah. Over here is we always need more Jeff Zekin. And I am your mystery host. So you don't have to worry about me.
Yeah, we do.
All the time.
All the time. That's right. Well, glad you could join us today. So, did you ever find out?
No. AJ,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing pretty good.
AJ, the question we have to ask you, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Loop. It's spelled like Coupe de Ville, just with an L.
Loop.
Yes, sir.
Is that what we said?
That's what we said, but Loupe.
No, you said Loop de Ville, not Coupe de
Yeah,
Ville.
you said Loop de
I said
Ville. That's
it's
it.
spelled like Coupe de Ville, just with an L.
I got you.
Well, I told him, I said, he's AJ. That's all I can tell you. His name's AJ.
There you go.
So, Good Grub and Gears Car Show and Fall Festival next weekend.
Yes, sir. It's going to be on October 14th.
Well, isn't that did I miss it? Is that next weekend?
It's next weekend, yeah.
It's next weekend.
Yeah.
You guys still need to make good on your promise of stopping by.
Well, you know what? I've got the flyer right here, and I'm gonna.
And he's got a Corvette.
Well, yeah, I don't know whether the Corvette will be there or not, but I'll try.
Where's it at?
One of you guys live in Friendswood.
No, that would be our engineer. That
Oh,
would be
yeah,
David
yeah.
Ainsley. He lives down there.
And forgive him, he drives an Infiniti or a Honda minivan. He'll be glad to bring the Honda minivan.
That's why you don't see him. If we don't ever show what he drives whenever he's out in public.
I like
that.
the Honda minivan.
We all
So
do.
we'll let him get past security anyway.
There you go. So,
Friends
the Space City Corvette Club. How long has that been in business?
Since 2007.
2007. That was a challenging year for yours truly. 2007. And are you headquartered in Friendswood?
Well, I would say primarily the Clear Lake area, but both our car shows are at Stevenson's Park in Friendswood.
Yeah.
We meet the second Tuesday of every month at La Brisa, Mexican restaurant there in Lee City.
Yeah, that's a good place to eat.
Oh yeah, our
And
major
I-
sponsor
I-
is Bayway Chevrolet.
I pray.
Pearland.
I pray that you do not read the minutes from the last meeting.
Which one?
Any meeting. Any meeting, anywhere. Somebody,
Oh no, it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
we
good.
don't do that. They're available on our club website. Somebody wants to look at that on your own time. Basically.
I can't, that was one of the things when way back, before you were born, I was a member of the San Jacinto Corvette Club. And it was actually the only Corvette club around at the time. But, at the beginning of I guess it was the monthly meeting, somebody had to get up and read the minutes from the last meeting. And I'm going,
Why?
Why?
Show up to the meeting and you don't have to listen to somebody read them.
Yeah, and it was cumbersome and laborious. There's a
We're
word
a
for
lot
you.
less boring in that regard.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more boring. than
So what time is your show there at Stevenson's Park?
It's from 8:30 to 3, and you can't miss Stevenson's Park. It's right on 1100 South Friendswood Drive, and this one benefits Texas EquiSearch. You guys can go to SpaceCityCorvetteClub.com to pre-register your car. Pre-registrations are $40, and show up day of will cost you $45. And we've got DJ vendors, Gulf State Trucking, Electric Eye Customs, Bayway Chevrolet. Those are three of our biggest sponsors. They'll be there on site. Mr. Miller will be out there at some point. And just a lot of the Stevenson's Park is that family vibe picnic kind of feel to it with those huge oak trees, lots of shade. We had 223 cars out there last year, and so far we have 120 pre-registered this year. So
Very good.
And there's a lot to pre-register the day of, or leading up to it. We had about 100 show up day of. So we're expecting a good turnout again this year.
Is Bayway going to bring any vehicles with them?
Yes, sir. They always do.
Because I know he's got a pretty cool collection of classic cars, and I've seen some of his classic Corvettes on the showroom floor there in Pearland.
Yes, sir. He typically brings out 3 or 4 of his private collection, and he'll bring out 6 or 7 of the new vehicles, and he'll have sales staff that's there. But the good thing is, and I was shocked when he first did it, Mr. Wisniewski showed up at the park at 7 o'clock, and he stayed all day, and was kind of taken back by that. But at heart, he's a car guy, and he just loves that. He's in his element.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen the car collection. I was privileged enough to go and see it, and it is truly amazing what he has got. And it's not just Chevrolets or not just one make or model of cars. It is everything. He had a still stickered and sealed and with plastic on the seats, a brand new GT. Remember the GT from Ford? Brand new one. Brand new. Had no miles on it. He had that in the collection.
Good investment car. So what is your relationship with Texas EquiSearch? How did that become your charity of choice?
Well, I joined the club back about 12 years ago, and I found out that we raise money for charities, and one of those charities was Texas EquiSearch. And so really how that came about 12 years ago, I couldn't tell you, but what we started doing 2 years ago, we used to raise money for St. Jude's and Texas EquiSearch. So we decided 2 years ago that Mr. Miller with Texas EquiSearch here in our backyard could probably use that money a little bit more. So we adopted doing both car shows, spring and fall, to raise money for Tim. So, it's one of those things that, some people will say, well, I don't need his services. Until one day that you do, and that's when you pray to God you've got someone like Tim there to help.
Oh, an honorable charity it's well worth donating to.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they don't take any money from families. They do all this all strictly volunteer. They've been on 2,500 searches, recovered a little over 700 bodies. They've been in 43 states, 11 countries, and it's really amazing. If you're ever around him, look at his phone. It's just things smokes because it's just going off all the time. People calling for help, needing his services. And,
Wow.
So AJ, you mentioned
Yes, sir.
they found like 700 bodies. So they don't really get involved until the regular, like the local police force or other people have kind of given up. Is that a good way to kind of?
Well, I understand that they get involved whenever they get the request, and that could come straight from the family. Law enforcement, if they're having a difficult time, if there's somebody's missing, he's hands on deck. As an example, last year, that Alvin ISD teacher that went missing, he had just gotten out of the hospital from having back surgery. last thing he needs to be doing is getting on the road to New Orleans, not flying over there, driving over there, go on a search because he found out about it. So I don't think he waits to get the call. I think he knows about it or hears about it and just comes running.
Is this a Corvette only show?
No, sir. This is an open class car show. There's 46 judge classes. So I love Corvettes, but I like to see everything but a Corvette, basically. And I want to see the Jeeps, the trucks, the Pontiacs, the Camaros, the Mustangs, Lincolns, all that. And of course, it's going to be Corvette heavily because Space City Corvette Club is putting it on.
Yeah, they're managing it, and so is you said this is a judged car show. Going to be trophies, cash awards,
yes,
what?
Yeah, yes, sir. There's 46 judge classes, so there's 2 class winners per category. So there will be roughly 100 class winners. Then you have your typical best of show, best of paint, best interior, best engine, People's Choice award as well.
That's a bunch of trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of work on somebody's part, all those judges and coordinating all of that.
Well,
It is, and not only am I the president, I'm the car show director, so that's the more working title is having to do that. But it's been a lot of fun doing it. A lot like work, but I always say we're better served when we serve others. So giving back is a great thing, and I can't think of a better cause to give back than Texas Equine.
Sure.
So
who are the Purple Patriots?
Purple Patriots is an organization here that was established in Friendswood, that established in 2010, and they're an organization that gives back as well. And it was Mike LeBlanc, the founder, and myself. It's like my brother. We started it 11 years ago to honor his father, who had passed away, and we were sitting there in the office trying to figure out a way that we could come up with an idea to honor his dad. And I said, the only thing I know to do is just do a car show. And then we tried to figure out, well, how are we going to do the name? How's that going to come about? So his dad loved food. And so he's like, my dad loved that, that food, like that good grub. I'm like, yeah, but this is going to be a car show. It's not going to be a food show. And so I'm like thinking gears. And he said, yeah, but man, my dad and that good grub. I'm like, gears. Good grub and gears. Good grub and gears. That's it. Write it down. So that's how the name came about. Good grub and gears. And that first car show that we did, we raised almost $18,000 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
Oh, wow.
Then from there, it got to the point where last year we raised $92,000 for Mr. Miller.
Wow.
Tell me how much. Tell me what kind of food you're going to have there.
Well, Cole's Helping Hand is going to be there to do our food. Scott Gordon is the one that heads that up. He used to run the Lighthouse charity cooking team for years, and he's got this massive rig that he brings out. So he'll be there on site doing the food. And one of my favorite things that he does is this mashed potato in the cup with some like chipped beef. Oh man, it's like crack. I
don't know. I've never done crack, but I heard it's pretty good.
I never have either. But I told him, I said, I want a sand bucket pail, like a little shovel, like we used to do when we were kids. I'm just going to sit there and eat a bucket of the stuff. It is amazing.
Oh, I'm a chip beef fan. I love it.
So AJ, obviously, like you said, you're going to be kind of skewed towards Corvettes. Like, how old of a Corvette might be seen out there?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because we have one of our members has a 1953 Corvette. 53 was the first year of the Corvette, and he actually has production number 32.
Oh, wow.
So, and the unique thing, it used to be owned by the owner of the San Diego Padres. It was just featured on American Sports Car Magazine. It was at the National Corvette Museum the day of the 70th anniversary of the Corvette. And they did a photo shoot with the car in the museum, out the museum as the sun was rising. And that was pretty neat. It's also signed by Zora Arkus Duntov under the hood. So production number 32 will be out there. And it's also, if he brings us, he has a 1955 Harvest Gold, which is the first V8 Corvette. It'll be out there as well. So we have a lot of nice collector cars that will be there all the way up to the new 2023 Z06.
And what Corvette do you have?
I have a 96 Collector's Edition. I just sold my 2007 Z06, and I'm probably going to regret that one. And I have a 2007 Coupe, and I have a 72 Corvette as well.
Oh, cool.
Yes, sir.
Well, hopefully Don will have his back, and he'll bring his 2001.
Well, I've had a drain on the battery for quite some time, and I have it down with Richard Tomlin at Apex Auto Works down there in Alvin. And he texts me this week and says, I think we found the problem. It's the seat switch on my sports seats, the driver's side. It's apparently got some sort of short or something that's draining the battery. Of all things, who would have thought that?
So was that your black Corvette he took down to Mexico with him?
That's probably the one. That's it. He took the switch out. Now it's got plenty of power and no drain on the battery. Yeah. And it's got the shifter that he doesn't like. He doesn't like the Hurst shifter.
Well,
I find a new technician.
Peel the numbers off. It'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the deal.
Maybe he can get it fixed in time, and he can get the switch. The probability is the switch is out of production.
Yeah.
You talked about that last night.
It's on back order. So I'm going to see if I got to call him when I get off the air here. And we're going to find out if we can bypass the switch and not have it be able to move or anything.
Just position the seat and turn
exactly
it.
What he said.
Pull the plug.
Pull the plug. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if that works. Well, anyway, it sounds like a fun day. Saturday, October the 14th. Registration
Yes, sir.
is 8:30 to 11, and I assume that awards go at 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
That's a long day. And clearly, if I'm going to do this car show, it won't be there. I have to do it here and then get in the car and drive down there. So it'd be like a noon arrival if I make it down there. But I'm going to try.
Oh, a nooner.
All right. Well, you've been promising, so I'm going to hold you to it. I feel like Charlie Brown and the Pumpkin Patch waiting for the great white pumpkin that never comes. Hey, good on your promise this year.
Well, look.
No, he's more like Lucy pulling the football away.
Yeah,
there you go.
I've highlighted the date on the flyer. I've got it separated from the rest of my papers here. There it is.
And the rest of the places he has to be.
Right. And Don would be the pasty white pumpkin.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, it's great to talk to you, AJ, and thanks so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you next Saturday. And good luck on the show.
And where do they find
Thank
out
you,
more
guys.
information?
If you go to SpacecityCorvetteClub.com, you can find out all the information. You can pre-register your car. You can make a cash donation. And you can also buy raffle tickets. But probably the most important thing is that pre-registration on your cars. And then Space City Corvette Club is also matching all cash donations given to Texas EquiSearch up to $20,000 this year.
Wow, that's nice.
Stout.
Best of luck, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Man.
Hey, if
got
you'd like to
going
get in
on.
touch with us, shoot us an email. Our address here at In Wheel Time is info@inwheeltime.com. The In Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production, and Conrad has the race card.
Well, it seems like all of racing is coming to Texas the next couple of weeks. NHRA is up in Ennis the 12th through the 15th. The Formula One is coming to Coda October 22nd. So lots of big stuff happening in town. This weekend is the NASCAR is in Charlotte at the Roval, which typically is a big crash fest anyhow. And then they're in Vegas.
What is the Roval?
It's, Charlotte's a mile and a half oval.
been there.
Well, they put a couple of chicanes in it, and they call it the Roval. Kind of like a road course oval.
Yeah.
So
And
they're not
they-
going to be on the oval, part of the oval,
Yeah.
but then they're going to go on a road course through the infield.
They really wanted to make it interesting. You should have made a figure 8 out of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I remember the old figure 8
Go
racing.
the other way. Right.
Go
to
the
left.
God. All right, what else?
And then NASCAR's at Homestead on the 22nd, Martinsville on the 29th, and the finale in Phoenix on November 5th. Formula One is in Qatar this weekend, and They're in Coda on the 22nd, Mexico City on the 29th, Brazil on November 5th, Las Vegas on November 19th, and Abu Dhabi for the finale on November the 26th.
Cool.
This weekend next weekend is Petite Le Mans, the finale for the IMSA series, and that is a endurance event down
You like
there.
to watch old guys' movies?
Which old guys?
There's a movie I watched that I have to share with you. I shared with Jeff last
Gosh,
night.
that makes
And
me
Jeff's
nervous.
not a movie guy, so he's out. But I will tell you that it's a thing called Las Vegas. It is hysterical with Michael Douglas and Morgan Freeman, and it is really one to see.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
I'll have
It's
to
on
look it up.
Netflix. Okay.
Nah.
Time now for what?
I'll have to look it up.
You said not. I
No.
think at the end of that. You're not into that?
No, I've seen the show. It was a few years ago. I don't know that I'd spend any money to see it again.
Well, it's on Netflix. Do you not have
No,
Netflix?
I don't do Netflix.
Okay. Jeff has a feature
Mhm.
called Fall Road Trips for Fall Color.
Leafy scenes.
Leafy scenes.
Leafy
Well, we
scenes.
don't have leafy scenes here
Leafy
in this
scenes.
part of Texas.
Well, I'll see if I've been on any of these because
Okay.
I used to do
Well,
some.
let
of
me
these.
get through it, and you can. How's that?
Okay.
Here we go.
We're waiting on you.
5 road trips. Autumn is a special time of year. The air is beginning to cool, and the leaves are starting to change color. This first one we have here is called Green Mountain Bayway in Vermont. The GMB travels along Vermont Route 100 through the towns of Waterbury and Stowe. It is sandwiched between the spine of northern Green Mountains to the west and the peaks of the Worcester Range to the east.
Worcester.
The drive provides stunning views to open meadows, farmland, and the changing colors of surrounding forest. This is a cool one. This is the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina and Virginia.
Beautiful.
The Blue Ridge Parkway is a spectacular drive any time of year, but it's exceptional during the fall. The U.S. National Parkway, often called America's favorite drive, meanders 469 miles through Virginia and North Carolina. The drive connects Shenandoah National Park and the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It's famous for being a slow-paced drive with the views, long-range vistas, pastoral landscapes, and up-close glimpses of the local mountain range. This next one we have here is the San Juan Skyway in Colorado. You'd be interested in this one, Michael. Designated by the U.S. Secretary of Transportation as the All-American Road, the San Juan Skyway is a 236-mile loop that travels through the Colorado cities of Durango, Mancos, Dolores, Rico, Telluride, Ridgeway, Ouray, Silverton, and where, Mike? Stoner. The highway travels through high mountain passes and historic views of the towns, passing by 5 million acres of the San Juan and Uncompahgre National Forest. I looked it up. It's not the proper spelling or proper pronunciation. Travelers are treated to views of wildflowers, mountains, mountain ranges, the color displays put on by the aspen tree-lined roads. The next one we have here is the Columbia River Highway in Oregon. The Columbia River Highway is one of the most scenic drives out there, regardless of when you visit. It's the first major paved road in the Pacific Northwest and the first designated scenic highway in the United States. This is a very cool one. The highway begins east of Portland and meanders 350 miles through the Columbia River Gorge. The scenic highway offers breathtaking views, temperate rainforests, densely forested hills, waterfalls, moss-lined canyons, rushing river, and during the fall, yes, the changing leaves. This is my favorite. This one here is the Upper Peninsula Day Drive in Michigan.
Way to go, David. Ainsley.
Michigan's Upper Peninsula is a fun and adventurous trip that can be done in a few hours or a couple of weeks, depending on how much time you want to spend. You can pack it in. The day drive through the Upper Peninsula meanders through the small town back roads and offers the opportunity to visit cascading waterfalls, slide down the sand dunes, Mike, watch the sand, explore the rugged wilderness, swim in Lake Superior, which is the largest freshwater lake in the world. Other scenic areas are the Menominee North Pier Light Station, West Shore Fishing Museum, Escanaba, Cedar River, Sand Point Lighthouse, Peninsula Point Nature Trail, and so on. So there you go.
You left out the Mackinac Bridge.
Well, this doesn't have leaves on it.
It doesn't have leaves on
It doesn't have leaves on it.
Yeah, if it does have leaves on it, it's down next to the
you
ocean.
might have crashed over the side. Don't go on bridges. They're dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been on a couple of them. I've been on the Blue Ridge, and I was on US 100 in
I've never been to
Stowe,
that part of the
Vermont.
United States. I've been in North Carolina. I went to the Charlotte race one year, but I've never been really to do anything like that. I want to go, though.
Yep. And then that whole New England stuff, the one in Vermont.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
October, late September, early October, such a beautiful time of the year up there just to drive around. We used to drive the Northway, which was New York State Thruway north of Albany. Stunningly beautiful in the fall weather.
You've got the Northwest, you've got the central, northern United States, you've got the East Coast up in, like you said, the Carolinas. Get out there and enjoy it. I mean, here in Texas, we don't have really that much. You got a few leaves changing. Go out in your backyard, go ooh, ah, and all that. But to drive through some of that stuff, take a road trip. I like taking road trips. with
Me
family.
too.
They're a lot of fun with your family, your significant other.
I don't think
you take
people
all the
do
little
that much
stops.
anymore, though.
Well, I like to do that. We like
do
to
too.
do that. We talked about something like that last night at dinner.
Yeah, and it's funny because my parents loved road trips. Dad would always, if we didn't have anything to do on Sunday, let's just go for a ride and go out in the country and go to some place that we hadn't been before.
Yep.
It is always fun. And I'll never forget our road trips from Wisconsin down to Alabama, where my mother's side of the family lives. Great fun. Stop at the pop stops along the way. Get you a pop. And I'll never forget one trip. I collected bottle caps. So wherever the pop thing was, stop in there and ask the
Do you
service.
still have them?
I don't.
No.
I wish I did. But and I asked him to empty the caps into my bag, and I'd spend a whole afternoon going
looking
through and
through.
see all the different stuff that I had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you could do the license plate games and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. It's fun stuff. Go out there and visit.
Great
Great places to see.
Great feature, too. The N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for N-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and nwheeltime.com. Our live video stream is 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturdays. And if you want to watch us live do this thing, I don't know why you would. But podcasts are at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues after a quick break. Wait a minute. I don't want to. I don't
go to
wanna-
B. You're on B.
I know. I don't want to mess this up because I've messed it up once already by pushing the wrong
And
buttons.
I let him know about it, too.
Yeah, he did. And I have a red rear end because I got whipped. All right. It's time now to do this.
Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance is proud to be a part of America's largest block party. It's the 27th annual Cruising the Coast, October 1st through the 8th. Great antique, classic, hot rod, and dragsters all along a 30-mile stretch of beach. Bay St. Louis, Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Pascagoula, and more. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance will be on site October 5th through the 8th at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, manning the Chevrolet trailer displays. Come see us for additional information at cruisingthecoast.com. Biggest race in the country. Also, Rogers Dab Chevrolet GM Performance is proud to be a part of the 10th annual Lone Star 600 at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite. October 6 and 7, $25,000 to win. Any car can race and is locked into the race. 300 laps, both nights, 7 o'clock start times. Racers from all around the U.S. and beyond. Additional information at LoneStar600.com. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance.
The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Lupe Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupe Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupe Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. Boy, those breaks are really short, aren't they? Welcome to the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we're going to talk to Richard Johnson from Insurance Council of Texas and Daniel Armbruster from AAA. They got a new program out there to make people arrive alive. Ooh. So we're going to talk to them about that. We have to talk about insurance. We will. God. Twist my arm. And then Conrad's going to have the In Real Time Car Clinic. What's that going to be about today?
Synthetic oil. What is synthetic oil and why is it better for your car than conventional oil?
I actually have to get mine changed. I'm not thinking about doing it myself.
Really?
Yeah.
You can. It's not that hard.
No, my car's not.
Your biggest struggle is where do you dispose of what
Exactly.
you buy now.
It's very easy. Very easy. Take it to where you bought the oil.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Some of them will take it back, but not all.
Almost all of them
put
take
it
it
into
back.
something.
Well,
So you take a gallon jug. You take.
Well, there was a point in time when dealerships who do lots of oil changes would sell their old oil back to somebody who collected it.
Or sell it to somebody that had a worn-out engine that went through quarts of oil a day.
No, they'd sell it back to somebody who would, I don't know that they recycled it. I'm not real sure what they did.
They
with
recycle oil now.
it. But, yeah, they would sell their oil back.
The big
and
box
make a little
stores
bit
like
of money on
the
it.
Walmarts and things, they'll take it back.
Advance Auto Parts, I know, takes the oil up here.
Yeah.
And the O'Reilly's always takes oil. No big deal. You
Yeah.
just walk in the back. There's a big drum back there and
It's
dump
just
it
the
in.
point of getting the jack out and all that and crawling under it and, all that.
That's the issue,
Yeah.
especially with me.
Well,
And me.
and today, it wasn't that long ago. You can get your oil changed for, $20-$30. Now it's
100.
$70 to $100.
Yeah, it used to be. When I was with Excel, I would buy my oil at cost and then take it up to a place and they would do it.
Yeah, that's when you could get it at cost. Now I got a guy that he'll change it, and he does my inspection. He puts my license plate sticker on. He does all that. I don't even get out of the car.
I was going to say, what
I
do
pull
you
up there.
do?
Nothing. I pull up there and I look at my phone
Slides
while
of a
he's
credit
changing
card.
the oil. That's it. I hand the credit card out the window.
And what's the name of this place?
It's right there in Groves.
Goober Lube.
Cooper.
Yeah, Goober does a great job, and he does.
He's
it
the
quick.
guy that buys the old oil.
That's right.
That's what's going in your car.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you, Goober.
Let's see.
We lost track.
We did. Sorry. This is a car show, but honest to God, it's got to be on rails because we go off of them quite frequently. Richard Johnson, Insurance Council of Texas, and Daniel Armbruster, AAA Texas. Oh, my God. 2 insurance guys. Are we kidding? At the same time?
Uh-oh.
Well, as you're talking, thanks for having us. We're excited about this. But as you're talking through oil changes, I'm in the middle of restoring a 1980 MGB in the garage, and so an oil change seems quite simple right now compared to the. the
Why would you
going on.
take on a rebuild of an MG? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand that.
It's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. You never stop rebuilding.
You never stop. Yeah.
Exactly right. So why are you taking that project on? Does it mean something to you?
No, not at all. It was it was one of the most interesting impulse buys ever, but it's been a lot of fun. I've had the kids out in the garage. I've taught them how to change oil, how to change tires, before they were 13, 14 years old. So it's been fun. My wife has a radius of about 2 miles around the house where she'll actually ride in it. Anything beyond that, she doesn't trust it, which is probably wise.
Because she knows she's going to have to get out and help you push it back to the garage.
Yeah, she's had many calls where it's like, can you bring the tow rope in the Jeep?
You have to back it off the trailer for her.
Are you in the Houston market?
I'm actually in San Antonio.
Okay.
I'm actually in San Antonio.
Yeah, they're having an all-British car show next weekend at the Butler House in Spring, Texas. And the reason they chose that place is because there's a lot of wrecker companies around it.
Yeah, there's actually one in 2 weeks or 3 weeks maybe up in Bernie, which is close to here in the hill country. So
you had no clue that when you went on the air with us, you were going to get lambasted about your car.
About my MG, yeah, gosh, if I had my camera reversed, I actually have a drawing of it that somebody did for me up on the wall in front of me. So,
what does the Insurance Council of Texas do?
Sure. So we are actually the largest state trade organization for the property and casualty. So that's your home, your auto, your commercial insurance. So all of our members are companies like AAA. And so what we do is we advocate on behalf of insurance and try to educate people on insurance, what it does, how to file claims, what kind of insurance to have. As well as work with the Texas Department of Insurance and the Texas Legislature on keep making sure that we have a robust insurance market.
So, in other words, you know how to do the kind of thing all the time.
And you also do some of this lobbying for legislation, if I'm correct.
So we don't lobby. We have there's other groups that do that work. We try to be more of an informational and educational organization rather than be lobbyists.
Okay.
So you give the information to the lobbyists and let them go do their work.
Sure.
Sure, that's it. That's
good answer.
That's good. Daniel Armbruster.
What do you drive? How can we pick on you next?
What do you got, a Yugo?
We've got a Lexus RX and a Tesla. So sometimes those Teslas that get a little comment, but yeah.
The Lexus for the long distance drive and the Tesla for the around town stuff.
It usually works out that way.
Yeah. So where are you at AAA Texas? You in Dallas?
I'm based in Coppell. That's where our regional Texas headquarters is for the entire state of Texas.
Dallas.
So, in the DFW area. Yeah, we're just north of DFW Airport.
Yep, I know where you are. Well, so why do we have you guys on here?
Well, from an insurance standpoint, really ever since the pandemic, we started to see everybody's auto rates are going up.
Yeah.
Everybody's insurance rates are going up.
And so there's the reason for the hate headed your way. And we're sorry about that, but, you put it on yourself.
Even us in the industry, we're, my personal auto insurance has gone up. And so what we did was we started to look at the why. Why is it going up? Yes, it is the economy. It is inflation. It is the cost to repair, replace vehicles. But really one of the big ones is people are driving faster. They're driving more distracted, and accidents are getting more severe. And Daniel can kind of talk about that. I'm here to make sure that everybody has the right kind of insurance, but Daniel and AAA, they've been a great partner on this campaign, Survive the Drive and Arrive Alive. With some of their great statistics and information on.
Well, really I have to tell you that I see your commercials and Progressive and all of those commercials that are on television. But I have a great relationship with my own personal insurance guy. His name is Rick Toman. He's an Allstate guy out in Katy. I met him through the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Oddly enough, we were on the same committee for a number of years together, and we became friends. And he says, "Yeah, I sell insurance." He said, and I said, "Well, I've been with Allstate. Well, I'm an Allstate dealer." And he says, "Well, I can't take you because you're going to have to write a letter to Allstate because you just can't change insurance agents like that on a drop of a hat." And he said, I said, "Okay, no problem." So I called mine. I said, "I want to switch." And he says, "Send me a letter." And I sent him, a 2-paragraph letter. No hurt going the other way. Just that I wanted to go and give my business to Rick. And it was a pretty easy process, and I have no regrets. And I know that if I had an issue or had a question about my insurance, I'd call Rick on the phone. He'd answer the phone, and he'd give me the answer. I might not like the answer, but he would give me the answer. And so I think personally that it's nice to have, kind of like your banker,
A relationship.
with somebody at your insurance agency. And I know with all these commercials that are on television now, it's just a phone call away and you get some nondescript person on the other end. But I don't work that way. And I know that there are agents still out there that have that personal relationship with their clients.
Yeah, it's really important to have a relationship with your insurance agent and working with one if you have questions about your policy, making sure you have the right type of coverage. Y'all are talking about insurance rates going up, and as Rich alluded, there have been a lot of crashes related to risky driving behavior over the last few years. If we could reduce some of those risky driving behaviors just a little bit, it would probably make a huge dent in the cost of insurance market wide in Texas, just because there's just so many crashes related to speeding, distractions, and just overall general inattentiveness or aggression behind the wheel.
Both of you, do you have your own agencies, or you sit on the council? So I would imagine you came up through a ranking somehow, or
so.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Daniel. No, yeah, I was just going to say. So we're an independent nonprofit that just represents the industry.
I got
so I'm
you.
not. Yeah,
Okay.
we don't sell insurance.
Okay, because I was going to ask, is it
But
best
AAA does it, and as well as their great auto club that they have. So.
to get uninsured motorist insurance? Because I see a lot. I'm on the road every day, and I see a lot of crazy activity, and I'm thinking that person can't have either a license or insurance.
And then you look at their car, and
Yeah.
if they did have insurance, they never used it because all four corners are bashed
or they've got a
in.
paper tag that's no longer legal. That kind of stuff.
So in some of the information you sent, you were talking about the number of fatalities and some different aspects. One of it is the distracted driving and the aggressive driving. And like Jeff said, you see some weird stuff, and some of it out, particularly out on Interstate 10. It's more like Raceway 45 getting to be 3 lanes wide, and you better be in the right-hand lane if you're going to go the speed limit. And, but there's people, and to me, it's generally, from what I can see and based on the cars they drive, it's the younger guys or the younger people, let me put it that way, that seem to be the more aggressive driver, putting up on your bumper there and trying to get you to move out of the way or instead of going around, that kind of thing.
Well, keep right except the pass, Mike.
Well, if I'm doing
A recent AAA study showed that it's younger men, and guys 25 to 35. That's where you see the most of it, but really it does spread across all age groups when it comes to distracted driving, and it's a big problem. In Harris County last year, there were nearly 11,500 crashes that they could attribute to distracted driving. Of course, there were many more than that likely, but it's hard to always attribute these types of crashes. So we don't actually really know how many crashes there are out there, but we know that there's a lot that are counted for and likely a lot that are not counted for.
Interesting.
Well, I have to tell you that, and I drive the Beltway 8 here a lot every day, and the speed limit that's posted is 65. And exactly. And I now am doing 75 and getting past. And there are police that patrol the roadway.
And don't do anything.
And they don't do anything unless you're doing 100. And I find that I don't understand that. Why not? Why don't they enforce the speed limits, or at least
something close
to it, or anything over 10 miles an hour, you're going to get stopped and get a ticket. Why don't they do that? What's happened?
Hey, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the police. I'm going to stay on the good side of that one. So
we need to save that for Sergeant Woodard. But I think some of it, I really do believe some of it, from talking to the guys, the local down there where I live, a lot of it depends on, there's a safety factor. Now, if the traffic flow may be doing, you're 75, and then here comes a guy that's doing 80. He's passing people, but he's not
crazy,
doing stupid.
Right.
And so then they have to weigh, well, do I get out in the middle of the traffic and I got to pull him over and disrupt the traffic flow? Is it more dangerous to pull him over? Now, You get the guy that's doing 110 and he's zigging and zagging and all the way through. They'll generally go after that guy, but it's for what they tell me, they have to look at that a little bit.
Okay, well,
never stopped them from pulling me over, but I'm just
you get pulled over all the time.
You were zigging and zagging.
Yeah.
I have to ask you: is there a special discount for people like me that are old?
So depending on the company, there are a variety of discounts. There's companies that have, military discounts. If you have certain safety devices on your automobile, they'll offer discounts. One that's super important to me right now, I got a teenage driver. It's that good student discount. I ride him about his grades because once I put him on my policy a year ago, it went up. So there are discounts available. Normally, it's not age related or any kind of demographic related, but if you belong to an alumni association, sometimes those that also can get you a discount with certain companies.
Is it true? Is it true that if you have a bad credit rating, that your insurance is going to be higher?
Oftentimes, not all the time. Companies have different formulas, the way that they look at how much to charge for premium and whatnot. But it definitely a better credit score is going to help you out most of the time when it comes to the cost of insurance.
It's a long way of saying yes.
Does AAA offer a discount if a customer drives with a data logger in their vehicle?
We do. We have a program, and it's all done through a cell phone app now. But where you can monitor your speed and your driving activity. And if you're a good driver, you save money, and that's a great deal.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I have to leave my phone at home.
I'm just going to say, you don't have your phone on, sir, because this guy over here is the speed demon of all.
That'd be nice.
Well, no, I mean, I'm serious.
The flip phones usually don't work with the app. So.
Flip phones.
Man,
Busted.
You've got him pegged.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I also know that the car can be monitored through systems like OnStar. OnStar can track, though they don't ever really admit it, they can track not just location, but speed. They can track the force of braking. They can track the force of acceleration. So they can see when you're heavy
Drag
on
racing.
the gas. They can see when you're doing something silly.
Yeah, there's quite a few companies out there, and AAA is one of them that do have, they call it BBI or behavior-based insurance, where it tracks if you're a hard braker, if you're a jackrabbit starter, if you speed frequently, if you're using your phone obviously detects if your phone is on and being used for other things than say navigation or the insurance or the BBI program, the behavior-based insurance program. But it's actually a really great program. Most insurance companies, not only do their customers save money, but they've noticed that people become hypersensitive to it. And so they start to drive better. They don't speed. They don't, hard brake. They don't do those risky behaviors because they're being judged. It's,
somebody's watching you.
Yep, exactly.
Big insurance companies like AAA, do they have a program for people like myself, collector cars or fancy cars that don't get driven a lot?
Yeah, we work with a lot of car clubs, and certainly, if you have a specialized vehicle, you can definitely still get coverage on that, but it's going to vary from situation to situation.
Gotcha. So again, a good relationship with your insurance guy would be helpful.
Yep.
Definitely.
There's a lot of the bigger companies may contract out with some of those specialized insurance companies. My little MG counts as a classic, and so I can. It's a lot less expensive to insure that than it is my daily driver, and it's definitely less insurance, less cost than what my teenage driver costs me.
Would you happen to know if a rate is changed with these hands-free driving vehicles that we see? The commercials, hands-free driving to me looks dangerous. Would there be increases on that, or do they look at that?
It's a good question. We know from AAA studies, as you pointed out, hands-free driving looks dangerous, and that's because it is dangerous. It's a cognitive distraction. Your hands, your eyes, and your brain have to be focused on driving, and if all three of those aren't focused on driving, you're distracted. You're a danger on the road.
Interesting.
So you own a Tesla. Have you let your Tesla go hands-free for you?
I get a little nervous I don't talk on the phone in the vehicle if it's moving, but I get a little nervous even with the self-driving, automation that's in the vehicle still. And that's like most consumers, right? Still getting used to this technology, still understanding it. The driver assistance technology that is available, you have to remember it's there as assistance. It's not there to be the driver, which is a big problem that we see as a more ADAS technology or automated vehicle technology gets installed into newer vehicles.
Richard,
the perception is that it can do it for you, not help you, but do it for you. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Richard,
we're just not there yet. I just don't. The technology is not there yet. We could be decades away. I know there's some companies out there that say that they're less than that, but I think that fully autonomous, to me, it's if you're going to have an autonomous vehicle, there's no steering wheel, and then the liability shifts. We got it, and I think that's something that the insurance companies and auto companies need to think about in the future: is where does that liability lie when it comes to those fully autonomous vehicles?
Richard, where can we get more information on Survive the Drive?
Yeah, it's actually insurancecouncil.org/survive the drive, and then AAA has a lot of great information. You want to?
We have AAA.com. Of course, you can find the latest information on distracted driving. Go to AAA.com/don't drive distracted. We have a campaign. Don't drive intoxicated, don't drive intoxicated. Both have deadly consequences. You can learn more about the campaign. And in fact, there's a documentary on there that the Houston Police Department produced and AAA sponsored called Sidetracked. And it's all about the distracted driving issues in Texas.
Perfect. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Got more questions?
Go ahead.
No. We got to go. I understand, but I just got more questions going on. We need to talk to him again.
We will come back. I'll come back anytime you guys want. This is, and I won't even have to talk about insurance. I'll talk about
the damn MG.
Talk about my troubles with MGs and electrical issues and all sorts of stuff.
What brand trailer do you have it rolled up on?
Exactly.
Mine actually runs. I gotta say, knock on wood, mine actually does. As much as I joke about it, it actually is a pretty good runner. It's done me pretty well. I got it tuned up a couple of years ago where it's running real nice, as they say.
Real nice. Gentlemen, thank you both so much. We appreciate you.
Hey, thank you very much. And remember, arrive alive, survive the drive.
You got it. Richard Johnson, Insurance Council of Texas, and Daniel Armbruster, AAA of Texas. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. And I don't think we got to that last week either, did we?
No, that's okay. So, synthetic and conventional oil will both protect your engine, but synthetic oil actually does a better job of it, in my opinion.
And what is synthetic oil?
Well, it still starts as dead dinosaurs.
So it starts as actual oil.
Yeah, and then it goes through the oil companies synthesize it. If you looked at it, and I'm just trying to give you a visual of it. If you looked at the oil molecules close up, conventional oil would be like basketballs, softballs, and golf ball size, and then two pieces of metal on both sides of it sliding around. So why conventional oil breaks down faster than synthetic oil? Because the only point of contact you have on conventional oil early in its life is the basketball size ones. And then as those break down, you move down to the softball size ones. And then as those break down, you move down to the golf ball size ones. Well, the oil molecule is very rough as well. It's not smooth. So there's lots of places for dirt to hide. Yeah, the oil goes through a filtration device to pull all that dirt out, but it doesn't get all of it out. So in synthetic oil, what they do is they synthesize the oil. They try and figure out which molecule is the best size to use, and they kind of smooth it out so it loses a lot of those rough edges. And now you've got that point of contact. There's way more points of contact in that molecule between those two pieces of metal that are pressing together. So it's less stress on the oil, and it doesn't break down as fast.
What is a syn blend?
It's partial conventional and partial synthetic.
Why not go to the whole full synthetic then?
Cost, price.
But you can do it.
Oh yeah. Well, full synthetic oil is going to cost, and don't hold me to this, but it's going to cost you generally $10 to $12 to $15 a quart.
So they basically filter out what you said: basketball, softball, golf. They filter out one of those sizes,
right.
And then that's how they. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not that they filter out; it goes through a synthesizing process
to
bring them all down to the same size. So they may break the basketballs down into softball sizes,
okay.
And then try and smooth them out. So the smoother the oil is, the less chance there is for dirt and debris to hide within the molecule. So it's easier for it to deliver to a oil filter. You got to think today, oil filters. There are specific oil filters for synthetic oil, and if you want to use the right oil filter with the right oil, and one of the things about synthetic oil, people talk about it has a little more propensity to leakage. Well, the molecule is generally smaller than a conventional oil molecule, so can it leak a little bit easier? Yes, but that's really not much of an issue. In today's cars, oil leakage, they've done a real good job of controlling it. So, yeah, synthetic oil is improved engine protection because it offers superior lubrication, reducing friction and wear on the engine components. It provides better protection against heat, oxidation, and sludge formation, ensuring the longevity and efficiency of the engine. My opinion is a normal conventional oil change needs to happen every 5,000 miles. On full synthetic, I think you can go 8,000 miles on that as long as you change it regularly. Now, some of these crazy manufacturers that say, just change it once every 15 to 25,000 miles, I think you're asking for problems. Mm-hmm. So I'm a firm believer in 7,500 miles being your max oil change interval. If you're using conventional oil or a synthetic blend, change it every 3
to 5. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir. A couple of recalls to tell you about. So one is the Jeep Gladiator and Jeep Wrangler for 22 to 23 models. Disabled reverse lights and camera. Improperly heat-treated suspension bolts on the Cadillacs, the Chevrolets, and the GMCs. Escalade, Suburban, and Yukon for 2023. These are recalls. Windshield wipers may fail on the BMWs, the 7 Series for 2023. Rolls-Royce Ghost, I know you've got one of those.
Yep.
2021 to 2023 instrument cluster glass may break in a crash. Well, that's okay.
That's why I have AAA.
A new reason for BMW, buy my wipers.
Now, Subaru, Accent, Impreza, Legacy, Outback, drive shaft may disconnect.
Only once.
Yeah, that's right. And it's launched across itself.
Well, I find it funny that the drive shaft may disconnect. They're all-wheel drive vehicles. Subarus
Lots of Hyundais are being recalled. One for rear seat belts may not operate, and the ABS unit may cause an engine compartment fire. That's a serious issue, and they're telling people to park outside. Don't park it in the garage. Almost every Hyundai that they make, 2011 through 2015, and same thing for the Kia engine compartment fire. So the easy way to do it, go to safercar.gov and type in your VIN number, and it'll tell you if yours is part of the recall.
And do that often.
Time now for a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Back after this. The original group of Loopy Tortilla Restaurants will have you telling your family and friends.
Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance is proud to be a part of America's largest block party. It's the 27th annual Cruising the Coast, October 1st through the 8th. Great antique, classic, hot rod, and dragsters all along a 30-mile stretch of beach. Bay St. Louis, Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Pascagoula, and more. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance will be on site October 5th through the 8th at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, manning the Chevrolet trailer displays. Come see us for additional information at cruisingthecoast.com. Biggest race in the country. Also, Rogers Dab Chevrolet GM Performance is proud to be a part of the 10th annual Lone Star 600 at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite. October 6 and 7, $25,000 to win. Any car can race and is locked into the race. 300 laps, both nights, 7 o'clock start times. Racers from all around the U.S. and beyond. Additional information at LoneStar600.com. Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and GM Performance.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
We are done.
I've had some
Getting
sort
closer and closer to being done.
No, let's explain. There's a rotation of commercials, and it's just changed this week.
And
so
Don hadn't figured it out yet.
he's the one that changed it.
I changed it, and I can't follow my own rules.
No.
From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we speak with Bill Clem about upgrades to America's truck stops.
All right.
That ought to be fun. We'll have the upcoming events calendar. Mars reviews the new Kia Kona. Is that the plug-in or is that the electric?
It's a plug-in hybrid.
Okay. And later, we'll have the latest on the UAW strike, plus the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad you could join us on this Saturday. As confusing. Well, and you know what it is.
Go Astros.
I'm so excited about Astros this afternoon. And we also have beautiful weather. The temperatures, it's not 108 today. Yay.
And, of course, we have...
No, don't do that.
Do it.
No, don't do it.
I'm sorry, I can't hit.
Yeah. No. Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Boomer Sooner. No. Roll Tide.
Have they won a game this year?
Roll Tide's on this afternoon.
They're like 0-50 or something, aren't they?
OU, they're 5-0.
Oh.
Texas is 5-0. It's going to be a good game. Red River rivalry.
Yeah. What time is that?
Noon.
Starts at 11.
Starts at 11.
Yep. So
Okay.
as soon as the show's over, I'm headed for the house to watch the show.
So is there a radio station that covers that?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
You serving
Well,
hors
in
d'oeuvres
Texas,
or
we
anything?
just have to find it. Because they wouldn't be carrying OU here in Houston.
What snacks do you
No,
have? during the
it'll be
game?
on the Texas Longhorn Network.
Or ABC.
But
Or
what
ABC, yeah.
Well, what radio station carries the Texas Longhorn Network?
The one I listen to.
Yeah. Which one is that?
The one that carries the game.
Which one? What's name?
It's the one that's on his radio station.
Yeah,
in the
over there in Hooterville.
Neaterville.
I want to know what kind of snacks you have, like tofu when you watch an OU game, or
No. OU's, they eat beef. They eat bevo.
Bevo.
They eat bevo.
They eat bevo.
That's good.
That was a good one.
Oh my God! All right, well, shall we move on now?
Yes. Go blue.
Bill Clem, CEO of eBliss. Bill, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing okay. Thanks for getting up and talking to us on a Saturday morning.
No problem. You guys are looking like you're having way more fun than I am. So,
yes, we are actually. Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
So what snacks are you serving at the OU game?
yes. And do they come from the truck stop that we're going to talk
There
about?
you go.
Yeah, I don't know. No, tacos is what I'm going to be doing, I think.
There you
Taco?
go.
Okay,
We
well,
can live with that.
I will have to tell you that it's been a while since I've actually been in a real legitimate truck stop like Pilot or what
Petro,
Loves. Any of those. It's been a while
because they don't let trucks in at Buc-ee's.
I know, and I'm a big Buc-ee's fan, so there's that. But you're talking about truck stops, real truck stops where the men go.
Yeah, it's interesting because you just look at Buc-ee's is a great example. I know those guys, and they've done an amazing job kind of reinventing the roadside stop. Who knew that Walmart could look like a Buc-ee's store with a weird, gopher on the front of it, and everybody on
beaver.
the planet.
Not a gopher.
I know.
Gee whiz. We're done.
Well, they're not a sponsor anymore, so
what
what the heck? Yeah, we had them. They were paying us millions of dollars to be on, but they just said, "No, we're not going to be on with those goofballs."
The show wasn't called "Leave It to Gopher."
That's right. Oh Lord, yeah.
Sorry.
But moving on.
So what happens when you take the late guest spot?
That's right. This is what happens because we've been up a while, as you can tell.
Yeah, I can tell. No more coffee for you guys.
That's exactly right. So, first of all, tell me what eBliss does.
So eBliss, what we do is we're an OEM for electric products, driving products, but south of cars. So we don't make things that are DOT approved. Today we make e-bikes. That's what we do today. But you will see us making other things kind of up the food chain a little bit, going towards automotive. So as we think about, as I look at the market and we look at the market as a team, there's an enormous consumer demand for alternatives for vehicles, right? Everybody is, especially for these short drives. And so what we're doing is filling that need by building products and services associated with that. The other thing we're doing differently is we will be distributing those through automotive franchise dealerships. So we just announced last week on Auto Week, we've signed 45 dealerships that will be rolling out e-bikes and e-mobility products into. So we believe that the U.S. auto dealer network is the most advantaged economic distribution system in the world for transportation. So we're going to drop our stuff in the middle of that.
Very good.
And especially it's good timing for you with the auto UAW strike, and they're going to run out of inventory of cars. They can sell your eBliss products.
Yeah, and think about it, right? The auto dealers are in transition. Last year, 17,000 auto dealers, $1.7 trillion of revenue. Just take a step back and think about that. That's bigger than Russia, right? That is a GDP bigger than most countries, and that's just the auto dealer network. So as we think about this is a huge set of balance sheets, to your point, that are going to struggle over the next few years with availability of vehicles, quite frankly, changing consumer demand, the electrification, stuff that's going on that we talked about last time I was on here. That those things are going to change auto dealers. So while we're in the middle of this change, we establish them as our channel of distribution.
So you're going to help them change.
That's kind of the game plan. But as I kind of look around, so I decided to do something silly, and I bought an F-150. So please don't look down on me for that. But I decided to do that. If I'm going to run an e-mobility company, I was going to do that. And I've taken 4, I would say, extending rides in that vehicle. And I would tell you that the charging infrastructure is not ready for a convenient cross-country trip in an electric vehicle. That's for sure.
Well, you're not going to get any argument out of us.
Is that what put you into the truck stops?
Yeah, that's so when I think about this, as I look at this, and Buc-ee's was a great example, right? Those guys understood that there was an offering that was missing for consumers to ride down the road and get nice bathrooms, right? That was their opening salvo to the marketplace, clean bathroom. But now when you look at it, as a guy that's driven, like I said, made 3 attempts to make long distance drives in an electric vehicle, truck stops are a perfect place to be able to put these charging stations in. And in my opinion, the faster they can get charging stations everywhere, think about how many gas stations are out there versus electric charging stations. It is such a big number that, truck stops, I think, are the perfect opportunity to be able to make that happen.
Why do you think that that over, say, your instant little convenience store down the street?
I think one, you're going to be able to put enough of them in. So you're going to be able to put 5, 10, 15 of those down to really make an impact. By the way, I'm not opposed to the convenience store down the street, but the electric infrastructure to put one of those charging stations in, you're actually better served if you put 2 or 3 or 4 of them right next to each other, because it's kind of like building a wind turbine, right? Everybody wants to build the biggest ones because once you build the base, most of your cost is in it. Same thing goes in electric charging infrastructure. There is a economy of scale of putting those in. And those truck stops have enormous parking lots and, again, easy in and out. It would make it very convenient for consumers, 5, 10, 15 of these to be able to get their vehicles charged. That would be a heck of a lot more convenient than the experiences I've had.
Well, plus, and at the truck stop, you might have a reason to spend 15, 20, 25 minutes inside the truck stop, whether you're taking a shower, doing some shopping, using the restroom, and getting something to eat.
But now,
totally agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Some of the truck stops, though, like my wife is not a big fan of truck stops. Now, she likes Buc-ee's because it's clean and it's neat. But I know, for example, there's a truck stop between here and there that it's basically the same concept. It's got a lot of stuff in it, like you would see at a Love's truck stop or something like that. But it's dirty. I mean, that's all you can say. It's just dirty. The bathrooms aren't clean. The down between the aisles isn't clean. And there's a whole lot of truck stops out there like that.
I don't disagree. I think the journey of change. So I just look around to say, where's the real estate that you could use most effectively that makes sense?
Yep.
That's one that makes sense, right?
So,
but to your point, my wife isn't going to go to the restroom in one of those necessarily either. She's a big fan of Buc-ee's because of that. So again, great marketing. But I'm going to tell you, I think the peer pressure associated with what Buc-ee's is doing, you can see it when you drive from Austin to Houston, live in Austin, drive to Houston quite often. You can see there's been an upgrade in all of the locations around there that's been driven by Buc-ee's.
Especially up there around 71 and Elgin.
Yep. Do you see, with the EVs and the charging station we talked about, do you see the large transport, this big semi-trucks going to an EV? I mean, they're out there with certain companies and certain manufacturers. Yeah. Do you see that being implemented at these stops?
So again, I think you and I think we talked about this before, but I'll say it again. There's probably 10,000 inventions that have to be commercialized to be able to make ubiquitous charging for a full fleet of electric vehicles. I mean, 10,000 inventions. That's not just an invention. That's making it affordably as well. So back to your point on heavy truck, I have not seen the math. Anybody's shown me the math in which it makes sense for the energy density of today's battery to be able to be placed in in a cube that is worthwhile to put into a truck. The joke I've had with a few people in the industry at the senior level is that your only payload in a truck is going to be the battery. So that's kind of the only thing you're going to be able to carry in the truck is the battery. You're not going to carry any freight. Again, I'll give you personal experience on the F-150. Truck is beautiful. A Ford guy. I grew up there inside of Ford, so I love Ford. I love their vehicles. But I would tell you that when I added one more human and 2 bicycles to the back of that truck, my distance went from 312 miles to 180 miles, and I didn't drive once. It just recognized that.
The load.
To the point that you're making on heavy truck, if it's that kind of reduction when you add weight to something, which is clear, and you can read all the blogs on the trucks that are out there, they're not ready yet.
So
but it's not. Still not a bad. God, I'm sorry.
No, so you can see Lay's potato chips doing a good job with an EV truck, but not anybody else that's trying to haul 80,000 pounds worth of product.
Yeah, well, Lay's potato chips, I think, is owned by Pepsi, so you couldn't mix the truck with Pepsi products and Lay's potato chips. But to the point, I think that's real. The technology, that circle, that arc of technology development and commercialization has not reached the point in which these things are out there. So I'm going to go back to another one of my fundamental principles. I think that there's a misalignment between government regulation and what is being pushed onto automakers and the marketplace and technology readiness. And I don't believe that the government, as in the U.S. government, has aligned with industry to create an environment where CEOs like myself would make those big bets. Because the only thing I'm going to do if I'm going to try and electrify a vehicle with today's fundamental physics, it's not going to work. It's going to be, I'm going to lose money on it. It's not going to satisfy the customer, and the shareholders are going to be upset. But yet the government is pushing these kind of influences on the marketplace, and I don't agree with it.
Well, we just got through reading an entire list of vehicles, brand new EVs that are going to hit the market here in the next 18 months, and it's 50 of them. And that's just the list that Automotive News put together.
Yep.
And I cannot even imagine some of these startup companies being successful. There may be 2 or 3 outside of the general bunch of them that are out there now, but not the number that I'm reading today.
Without significant government stimulation in the market through tax reductions or tax credits, or through investments.
Incentive tax credits, yes, I agree with you. Go ahead.
Or through investments like, what federal government just gave Ford $9.5 billion to build a battery plant, and without federal tax money subventing the cost of production of all of these things, I just don't see it as viable. It's got to get to the point where it can be monetized at every level before people are going to be interested in owning an EV personally.
Well, what you just said about that for the EV, that's in the new contract.
Right.
So
the UAW contract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that can be manipulated later on.
So think about a couple other things. How many electric bus companies have survived?
None.
None. Zero. They're all going through some sort of reorganization. And why is that? Because the technology isn't ready unless you're going to put a massive government subsidy on every vehicle, you're not ready for it, right? Ford's going to lose $4 billion on their EV projects this year. That's their reported number, not my estimate. So, the only guy that's out there making money, doing a great job is Tesla and BYD. Those are the 2 companies, in my opinion, to watch, is BYD and Tesla. BYD, arguably, I made a speech in China about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was in Shanghai. It must have been 500 people in the room. And I made the statement that the Chinese will lead the world in EV development and commercialization, not for any other reason other than the fact that the Chinese population has never driven a vehicle before, so they don't know what range anxiety is all about. And so that's what they're used to. So everybody will grow up with EVs because you're going from an ox cart to an electric vehicle. That's an easy trade-off for consumers in China. The United States, we have a much more discriminating taste. Right, I want to go 400 miles on a tank of gas and take 15 minutes and refuel and move on. And I would tell you that in driving my electric vehicle, I get range anxiety as soon as I unplug and get on the road.
We're right with you.
I'm literally watching that thing go down because of the pain in the neck it is to get the darn thing charged.
That's distracted driving.
Well, it is, but I mean, it's on several different levels.
Yeah,
especially when your wife's sitting next to you and she's not mechanically inclined, and so these things are a giant mystery to her, other than the fact that counter is going down, and we just had to sit in a rest area with no services for an hour and a half to get your vehicle charged.
And she's very aware of that.
And she's the GPS.
And a Ford Lightning's too heavy for your wife to push.
Yes, and my wife is Korean, and my wife is very direct about these things, and I'm usually the one on the other side of that directness.
You're the catch-all.
Bill, we could have you on for the entire show,
Yeah.
all 3 hours of it.
There you
So
go.
we're going to have to
I
schedule
enjoy
that.
the hell out of you guys. You guys are great. I love your insights.
Well, thanks, and we appreciate you. But I want to get back with you maybe next week or the week after, where we could talk more about the truck stops, because I think that you have something there that is viable, and the truck stop companies need
Have to evolve.
Yeah, they need to evolve and clean up their act.
Listen, I completely agree. I think the roadside in general has got to clean up. You're going to have people spending more time on the side of the road. You need to be able to have those things. You need to make the necessary easy. It needs to be pleasant. Otherwise, new encumbrance, Buc-ee's is going to come at the truck stop level.
Yep.
Just bank on it. The entrepreneur, those guys in general, they'll go build truck stops to just do that and show everybody how to do it right. So, gentlemen, appreciate it. The only other thing I'd like to leave you with is read our article in Auto Week about us entering the auto dealer space. Anytime you'd like to talk about that, I'd love to talk about that too.
We shall
we should do that.
Next time we talk to you.
Yeah.
Bill, again, thanks so much. Great to talk to you. CEO of Bliss. We'll talk to you soon.
ebliss.global.
ebliss.global. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, time now here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. For the car review, Mr. Mars has the Kia Kona.
Yeah, I found this vehicle to be very interesting. So this is a 2023 Kia. What did I tell you? Kona?
No, Nero
Nero.
Touring
Did I tell you Kona?
doodah.
Oh, my God. Mars, did you do this again?
I don't know. Did I? I did.
Hey, while you're looking
it says
for that-
right there. It says Kona on it.
While you're-
Okay, my bad. We're not talking about the Kona. We're going to talk about the 2023 Kia
Oh,
Niro.
my God.
PHEV SX Touring.
Mars?
Now,
Mars?
No. I got work to do here. Leave me alone.
LMNOP.
So this is a compact crossover available in 5 trim levels: LX, EX, EX Touring, SX, and SX Touring. Now,
The other one's got
this
6.
vehicle is available in 3 different electrified power plants. You can get a hybrid, you can get a plug-in hybrid, or you can get an all-electric in one of these trim levels.
Fully
and
big.
mine is the plug-in hybrid is the one that we had. Again, we're talking about a compact crossover. The styling on this vehicle follows along the lines of the EV6. It's just a little bit larger. It's black C-pillar trim on it that comes up onto the back C-pillar that's really kind of
Unique.
one of those things. Unique is a good way to put it. Either you like it or you kind of don't like it so much. Of course, it comes with LED lighting. The headlights, fog lights, tail lights are all out there. Up front, you're going to find rain-sensing wipers. Got power folding side mirrors. Got the smart power lift gate on it. Got a power sunroof, and it comes with 16-inch wheels standard, but we happen to be on 18-inch alloy wheels because we were in the SX Touring model, so it's top of the line. We also, when you get into the inside, we're going to find that we've got the Syntex seating surfaces. The front seats are heated. The second row outboard seats are heated, so we got heated in the second row. The drivers, for the center stack, it's standard with an 8-inch monitor on it. We had the 10.25-inch touchscreen where you're going to find your nav and your convenience controls. And the driver has a 10.25-inch driver screen where he's going to find all his controls that we used to call a gauge package. It also has a very good Harman Kardon audio system in it. And it has some other pretty good technology. It has 5 USB ports, has a wireless charging, but it does not have a wireless connection. You have to plug it in to use your CarPlay or
No
Android.
Bluetooth.
It doesn't. That connection doesn't make it. It's kind of weird not to have that with everything else that it's got.
What the heck?
So up under the hood, it had a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder engine with an electric motor. Produces 139 combined horsepower. It's backed by a 6-speed dual clutch transmission. Now the EPA says on the EV and the gas combination, you look at 108 miles to, I guess, what the equivalent of a gallon of gas, or 48 miles to gallon gas only in the combined. Now, I drove this vehicle 405.6 miles, and I got 40.2 average just off the fuel across there, and I thought it was great. I put some gas in it before I sent it back to the press fleet, and I was amazed at what 5 gallons of gas would do to the range on that thing. It was. I like this vehicle. It's got very quiet in the urban driving situations. Out on the highway, it's got a little bit of road noise, but crank up the Harman Kardon and you don't even notice it. And so I would say it's more of an urban type vehicle, more inside the city than out on the highway. It does come, I wanted to note, with the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty includes the EV components. Base trim price on the base model of this is $26,590. Now, the base trim price for the SX Touring that we were driving is $39,490. Our as-tested price, $41,635 for that vehicle. Now, if you're looking to compare it to, it kind of because of the sizing, it's a little bit, but you can look at the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid for $27,970 start. The Honda CR-V has a hybrid starting at $32,400, and even get into a Toyota Prius for $27,450. And that, gentlemen, as again, I said, I like driving that car around town. I thought it was pretty good. And that is my review of the 2023 Niro PHEV SX Touring.
Spell Niro.
Doodah.
Niro.
Kona.
Nio. I'm ignoring what you're saying.
Niro. Niro PHEV.
Niro. PHEV.
PHEV. What?
SX Touring.
SX Touring.
Hey, real quick. Lifelong friend of mine lives in Castle Rock, Colorado. Listening to the show, he is driving up to the mountains to Glenwood Springs. He spent 3 days in the mountains looking at all the lovely, lush changes of colors. Todd Sheldon, degree.
Okay.
Just saying that.
Time now for the events calendar, Conrad.
So we talked earlier about the All British Car Show at the Butler House off of Gosling Road. That's next week, Friday. Next weekend it starts at 9 p.m. Friday, October 20th is the 38th annual Wolf Creek Car and Truck and Bikes Show in Cold Spring. On 11/4, the 4th annual Memorial Benefit Taps and Turbos Car Show at No Label Brewing in Katy. The Northside Car Club is having their Fall Open Car Show November 4th at Bull Salas Park in New Caney, Texas. October 28th is the Turbo Fest at Karam Shriners in Waco, Texas. And then next weekend, they're having the annual Heroes and Hot Rod Veterans Day weekend show in downtown Bastrop. Great show. Go.
That's the Niro PHEV, not the Kona.
Too much Maui Wowie.
or like the vehicle that I just turned in, I don't remember what it was, but I remember that
it was a
made
Hornet.
such an impression.
It was the Hornet. But the color of it was Acapulco Gold.
Yeah.
You remember Acapulco Gold?
Yep.
He's still coming down off it.
Yeah, exactly. From the 1960s. All right. I want to remind you that this program is available 24/7 on iHeartRadio. Just search In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and InWheelTime.com. 30-minute podcasts at your fingertips. And over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggieland? Head to the Loopy Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Loopy Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance is proud to be a part of America's largest block party. It's the 27th annual Cruising the Coast, October 1st through the 8th. Great antique, classic, hot rod, and dragsters all along a 30-mile stretch of beach. Bay St. Louis, Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Pascagoula, and more. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance will be on site October 5th through the 8th at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, manning the Chevrolet trailer displays. Come see us for additional information at cruisingthecoast.com. Biggest race in the country. Also, Rogers Dab Chevrolet GM Performance is proud to be a part of the 10th annual Lone Star 600 at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite. October 6 and 7, $25,000 to win. Any car can race and is locked into the race. 300 laps both nights, 7 o'clock start times. Racers from all around the U.S. and beyond. Additional information at LoneStar600.com. Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance.
It's the Ed Whale Time Car Talk Show coming up. We talked to John Vincent from U.S. News and World Report about the UAW strike. Later, look at the automotive news headlines this week. Howdy along with Mike Out of This World, Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff
Go
Seekin.
Astros.
I'm Don Armstrong, and I'm nothing. I don't have any.
You're my hero, Don.
Well, thank you, Conrad.
Mr. Helicopter, Mr. Channel 13 Helicopter.
Of course, you know where.
Hi, this is Don Armstrong giving you the traffic report.
You see where his standards are.
Well, that was Robin Williams.
Yeah, really high.
Yeah.
High being key word.
Yeah, and not the kind that we're talking about a helicopter. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on this this Saturday morning. This is our live broadcast, and you're going to
tell?
That's the problem with it.
Yeah, and what you'll hear on the podcast, not the broadcast, but the podcast, you're going to hear that it's live. Well, on the podcast, it's not live.
Well,
It's a podcast.
it was when we recorded it.
That's right. We're recording it now.
Yeah.
And Mike's going to give us all English accents.
And so this, and so this program, was it going to air Friday?
This
what we're
this
fixing to
half
do.
hour, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
this last half
what
hour.
we're doing right this instant.
Yes.
Friday.
This will be Friday.
It'll be a Friday thing. So by the time this airs, there will probably be another announcement from Sean Fain from the UAW about some shenanigans that they've come up
How
with.
they're trying to screw the big three, and this big three is trying to screw them, and they're all doing a good job of it.
Well,
Okay, just look both ways before you get screwed.
that's it. So joining us now is John Vincent. He's with U.S. News and World Report. John, good morning to you, and thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
Are you out on the West Coast?
I am. I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. Let's see.
Leaves are changing.
8:32. Look, you got up, you put a shirt on, you brushed your hair. Well, never mind that. But but you did brush your teeth, and everything's looking good out there in the West Coast.
It is. It's a beautiful day out here in Portland.
Have you driven the Columbia River Highway? We did a piece on it. Was one of the most scenic highways in the country.
That is basically my backyard. I spend a lot of time
awesome.
out there.
Oh, how cool is that?
How lucky you are.
I'm
And
jealous.
it was one of the first designated national parks, too. National highways.
That's the highways. Well, John, thanks so much for joining. We're going to talk to you this morning about the UAW strike. And there was news yesterday about they've met some sort of a agreement or understanding with General Motors about this new battery plant that apparently is now, at least from what I read, is supposed to kind of put some sort of a grid work on this new proposal that the UAW has to the big three. Fill us in on all of that.
So the news yesterday is that GM will now allow the union into their new battery factories. Before, GM's stance was that the factories were joint ventures. They weren't really GM, so they didn't have to let the UAW in. They have now changed their stance on that, which is a huge concession by GM and might be, the straw that brings this strike close to an end.
That is if Stellantis and Ford agree in principle to the general overview of what they've agreed to yesterday.
Which they will.
They will? You think they will?
Oh, yeah. They will all go in lockstep.
I got you. Do you think that the big three actually talk to each other?
I don't think they're supposed to, but I think there are signals that go on between the three of them that let each other know what they're doing and what their stance is and how far they're willing to go.
Yeah, a lot of note passing back and forth.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So with this in mind, and the fact that, to me, it's very complicated because, as you mentioned, these battery factories, they're so expensive, they're so massive in nature, and there's many, many, many of them, and each manufacturer has partners in these battery factories. It's so complicated. How are they going to do that? Because right now there is no UAW representatives in these battery factories because they really don't even exist yet.
Correct.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's basically as these factories come up, so will the union locals that supply the labor to them.
So do you think this is a good deal, all the concessions the manufacturers are making to the union? Is it a good deal for the consumer, or is it going to raise the price of everything?
I really worry about what this means for the future of the big three, because they're building a lot of cost into everything they do. And in the next downturn, the big three will be facing headwinds that aren't faced by every other manufacturer because their fixed costs will be so high.
It'll be the big zero.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers that they're talking about on the battery factories are the UAW workers will make twice as much as non-union battery factory workers. It's going to be tough to be competitive when you're paying twice as much in labor costs.
Yeah.
Or
that cost gets passed on to the consumer regardless.
Or they don't spend as much on their CEOs and they cut back in other areas to be able to afford this. They keep the price of the vehicles close to what they should be.
That is definitely true. I mean, this negotiation was never heading anywhere other than a strike for a lot of reasons. It was the CEO compensation that was very public and seemed outrageous to a lot of people. It was a union that had been going through some corruption issues and is trying to rebuild itself as, the super strong union with a very aggressive, dynamic leader who's out to prove himself. And it was a time when they had somebody in the White House who wasn't going to do anything to even try and stop the strike. So, the conditions were perfect for a strike, and that's what we have.
But, John, my experience in the corporate world, which isn't a whole lot, but generally aren't the CEOs that they're talking about, say he gets $20 million. Oh, he made $20 million last year. But that's not all a salary. I mean, he has a contract, but a lot of that's incentives that are built in. That stock does this well, you get this much money. That stock does bad, you don't get this much money. Those kind of things. As far as a salary, generally, they don't make that kind of number. I mean, $1 million, okay, $2 million, something like that. But isn't it true that most of it is some sort of incentive?
Stock options,
yeah. Cash bonuses.
Oh, absolutely, but that doesn't make it to the headlines.
Well, I understand. That's what I think that's part of the problem, because next year, like you say, they hit a downturn. Well, that CEO all of a sudden now he's only making $5 million a year, but that guy that just got his raise up to $75 an hour, he's still making $75 an hour.
Mm-hmm. He or she, by the way, on the CEOs.
Yes. Okay, my bad. Them.
Politically correct. Well, the other thing that happens is they're asking for this 32-hour work week. Well, my view of that is, okay, so we give them a 32-hour work week, and we did a thing earlier about auto history, and this was the week in auto history where Ford went to a 8-hour, 5-day-a-week work week back in the 30s. And so now they're going to a 32-hour work week with the plan of working the same amount of hours. So now they get an additional 8 hours of overtime at time and a half at their $75 and $50 an hour, time and a half at $75 an hour. So that's really what the unions are how they're trying to
compensate.
Yeah, I don't think
bamboozle.
I don't think that part of the contract is going to happen. That seems like a negotiating point that's out on the margins that they're going to have to be willing to give on.
So this labor leader is in the news,
Sean Fain,
he negotiated the contract that they currently had, correct?
He was on the team that negotiated the contract.
Well, and now he's trying to be the hero. If he was negotiated all that loss is what they're talking about, now he's going to be the hero and try to get it all back from him. So isn't he sort of kind of on the hot seat too?
He absolutely is, and he's the new leader, and this is his chance to prove himself, and he's doing his best to try and make himself the person who saves them,
but not held accountable for his failure at the last contract negotiation.
Well, like you said, he was on the team. He's got a vote in that.
That union's been a mess, and this is kind of a way to rally everybody around a common goal.
But don't they understand, both the car makers and the union, that there are car manufacturers that don't employ union employees, and their cost per car to build is a lot less than UAW-built cars and trucks? I mean, let's look at all of the manufacturers and even the big three that are now building cars in Mexico where there is no UAW.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think the UAW's thought is that once they, force the Detroit 3 into making all these concessions, they're going to waltz into the plants in the South and say, look at what we did for these guys. Join the union now. Yeah. Let's get this.
That's already happening. I've heard that's already happening. We need Hoffa
But it's
back.
much harder to do in the South because of the right to work laws.
Yeah, well, this is a right to work.
If I'm a Southern governor or I'm the president of Mexico, I am salivating right now because I can go to all these new startup companies and car companies that want to build a new factory and say, see what's happening in Michigan? That's not going to happen here.
Yeah.
And they're not, the UAW is not looking at it that my view of the world, their destruction of the big three is to their demise. I mean, ultimately long term, big three giving in endlessly to their demands is going to lead to their destruction. You mentioned that earlier about, when things turn the other direction, the big three won't survive. Well, I don't think they're going to survive anyhow. Some of it because of the negotiation give-ins right now, some of it because some of the leadership of the big three don't deserve to be there, but they're making $29 million a year. My personal opinion.
It is a mess, and it's happening at a time where we have basically the biggest revolution in the car industry since the Model T. So everybody's worried about the future. The union thinks that they know the path that they want to have to guarantee their future. The car companies have a path that they want to follow to guarantee their future. And the two don't really mesh.
Right.
Interesting.
Which long term is going to lead to the demise of one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Or both.
Yeah, the interesting about the battery factories is battery factories don't employ very many people.
No.
They're mostly automated.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that they're employing are fixing the machines that actually build the batteries.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, if you stop and think about it, that's kind of the way that the cars are manufactured today. You don't have thousands and thousands of people on a shift at the Rouge factory. There's a lot of robotics are going on there, and that's the way that it has been for decades now.
Years ago in the body shop, there was a painter that would spray paint on the car. That's all robotic now as well.
And
so
when I was in the factory, it was 3 of us that did the same job every shift. 3 on this shift, 3 on that shift. And you
inefficiently, apparently.
Obviously. You did your job, and then you count 1, 2, 3. That one's mine. And then you would do that job. You sit down, 1, 2, 3. That one's mine. There's 2 more people that were doing that. Somebody had 2 and somebody had 3. Yeah.
Hopefully you guys could all count correctly.
Well, that's the problem. And on a Friday and a Monday?
There's an old myth that when it was Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury, that they had 3 different staffs in the plants, and when the Mercury car would roll down the line, the Mercury person would step up and install the part.
Exactly.
When the Lincoln car came down, the Lincoln person would step up and install the part. Totally untrue. I mean, they were all built by the same people.
Yeah.
But there was a thought
good story,
that
though.
those Lincoln workers were slightly better than the other workers.
Oh, yeah. And they throw a Cadillac in there.
But they were all paid the same because it was a UAW contract.
Sure.
Yep.
So when do you have an idea in your mind, based on your knowledge of the strike and what all's going on, when this is going to end?
I think we're going to have a lot of news this week. I can't say it's going to end this week, but I think we're going to have a lot of news this week. And what's pushed the whole thing forward was the UAW's been expanding the strike every Friday.
Right. That they didn't expand it this
They did
Friday.
not yesterday.
Right.
And General Motors knows that the next strike target is the Arlington plant down in your area.
Yep.
And that is where GM prints money.
Oh,
That's
trucks.
where they make SUVs, trucks, very, very high margin Escalades. And GM cannot afford to have that factory go down.
Well, and not only that, but GM has also announced just a couple of months ago that they're going to spend a couple of $1 billion in expanding that plant to make it even bigger.
Yep.
So it's good. That plant in Arlington is going to become huge, huge, and they're going to build lots of vehicles there, and they're going to crank them out as fast as they can, and they have to really settle this quickly.
Well, I always laughed because when I worked for General Motors and I'd go to any of these assembly plants and you would walk or drive in and look at the employee parking lot, half of it wasn't General Motors at a GM assembly plant. Half of it was Asian imports. Mm-hmm. It's kind of self-defeating when you don't even buy the product that you build.
Back in the day, you were encouraged to buy the brand that you were working on.
It's funny, to that end,
Yeah.
when I worked for Richardson Chevrolet, they would be ticked if you going out and bought a new car if it wasn't from them and a Chevrolet.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and
if you look at the plants around Michigan, you'll see the domestic employee parking lots and the foreign automaker parking lots.
Yeah, if it wasn't
and the
that
foreign
brand,
automaker parking lots are, out on the back 40, which is a big thing in Michigan in the winter.
Yeah.
You have to park a half mile from the plant.
Well, but it makes sense. You want everybody to have faith in your product. It's an advertisement. All our people drive the Chevrolet or Buick or whatever it is. And you don't want a Honda sitting back there with a 6-foot spoiler on the back of it and a coffee can exhaust.
Yeah, you do. And tub it out.
Yeah.
So what do you think the short-term future is of this?
I think we're going to have a settlement within the next 2 weeks. A lot of progress this week, and then everybody will forget it happened.
Wow!
Like most UAW strikes, it'll just go back to normal. Everybody will, shake hands and
move on,
go along their merry way.
But how do you think it's going to impact the cost of vehicles?
The cost of vehicles is already sky high.
Oh gosh, yes.
Fortunately, labor costs are only a fairly minor component of the cost of a vehicle.
So
you might see some incremental increases, but it's not going to be a massive increase.
So this contract, okay, so say it's settled today, right now. How long is that contract good for? How do they write that in? In the next 2 years, we're going to renegotiate, or the next 5 years. How does that take place?
That's one of the contract terms as to how long it will last. Generally, they've been a couple of years long.
Well, this
there can
one
also
here,
be differences based.
well, this one here, I think is they keep talking about a 3-year contract.
3-year deal?
Yeah,
3 year. Okay.
yeah.
And I'm sure they're all going to get their back pay.
And remember that every plant has a slightly different contract. They have the UAW national contract, but every plant has differences, local differences for that
Right,
plant.
specific for that plant. Well, John, it's great to talk to you. We thank you so much for joining us today. And let's chat here after the strike is over, and we'll analyze how things went.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Enjoy the Northwest, my friend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
John Vincent, U.S. News and World Report on the UAW strike.
So good predictions. Good predictions.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time here. And as he said, the next 2 weeks. But I think, as he mentioned, that I believe that this Friday will be a turning point. Actually, the real turning point happened yesterday. Yep.
Because they didn't announce more strikes.
And you know, when they were talking about the strike, about having a strike several months ago, I said, it's not necessarily the people that are the UAW workers at the actual assembly plants. It's more along the suppliers. And to that end, about 30% of suppliers have had to lay off some workers because of the UAW strike, but that figure will rise significantly by mid-October, according to a recent survey. Now, remember, it takes a while, as we saw during the pandemic, for everything to reach us as consumers. And the microchip thing was massive, and nobody saw that coming. The Auto Trade Association, MEMA, found that nearly 30% of suppliers have had to lay off some direct labor employees, and more than 60% expect to start layoffs by mid-October, according to a news release. I think that they're going to come real close to that if they don't actually go through with that, because remember, there was a supply chain, and they've been eaten into the supply chain from these suppliers.
And those are non-UAW suppliers, most likely.
Correct. They'll go back to work.
Tier 2, Tier 3.
Right. They'll go back to work immediately, but it's going to take time for them to make the product and to get it to the factory. MEMA also urged the White House to take action to ensure commercial vehicle crossings speed up at the U.S.-Mexico border amid added security checks by U.S. and Texas authorities. The checks have slowed the transportation of goods across the border in recent weeks. U.S. auto safety regulators have upgraded and expanded an investigation of catastrophic engine failure in 2021 Ford Bronco SUVs to cover more than 700,000 Ford and Lincoln models.
Cam phasers.
NHTSA in July of last year launched an investigation into more than 25,000 Broncos equipped with a 2.7-liter EcoBoost engine. After receiving 3 petitions requesting a defect investigation and 26 complaints alleging a loss of motive power at highway speeds with no restart. The alleged loss of power was a result of catastrophic engine failures caused by the engine valves failing, the agency said at the time. Ford told the agency that the defective intake valves were manufactured from a specific alloy known as silachrome light, which can become excessively hard and brittle if an over-temperature condition occurs during machining of the component, according to the document. This all from Automotive News. A design modification was made in October of 2021, which changed the intake valve material to an alloy that is less susceptible to overheating.
Xylophone heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry. I got that look from Don, like, shut up.
Shut up. A proposal by Joe Biden's administration to hike fuel economy standards through 2032 would cost General Motors $6.5 billion in fines and Chrysler parent Stellantis $3 billion, according to a letter from an industry group seen by Reuters. The American Automotive Policy Council, representing GM, Stellantis, and Ford, said in a letter to the U.S. Energy Department on Friday that the size of the expected penalties for not meeting proposed corporate average fuel economy or CAFE requirements are alarming. Ford separately faces about $1 billion in penalties. GM and Stellantis declined to comment beyond the letter.
Because all of that will just get passed on to the consumer.
Yep. But remember, I haven't seen the average price of a vehicle here in the past few months, but not that long ago, the average price, all the cars that are sold, $35,000.
That's base entry.
Then it went up to almost $40,000 quickly. And most of the cars that Mars and I get these days are $40,000 or above. Now, granted, they're the top of the line trim levels, but we're not talking about Cadillac SUV, SEV, V-Rods and all that stuff. We're talking about everyday cars that regular people drive.
Yep.
It's a lot of money. Yep. So you think about that, and let's just take a Suburban. I don't think you can get in a Suburban anymore for under $50,000.
Oh,
No.
So let's just say that the Suburban that you buy, brand new, stripper, $50,000. How much did it actually cost General Motors to make that car? Overall, 20?
No, within the industry, they say GM makes $10,000 to $12,000 per unit on utilities and pickup trucks. Net profit, $10,000 to $12,000 per, after all the expensive building.
What was the sticker price of it? Because I'm saying a $50,000. You're probably talking about a $30,000 or $35,000 SUV. Now we're talking about a $50,000, and I guarantee you that it has at least doubled the amount of that difference between $35,000 and $50,000. So double that, $15,000 on top of what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that.
But it's their most profitable. Trucks and utilities are the most profitable vehicles for Ford, GM, and Chrysler.
Yeah.
And then you see the trim level add-ons. Trim level add-ons don't cost $7,000 to General Motors.
No, they don't.
No.
Not
and
at
you
all.
got your tires and wheels. I know that. I was there. They don't pay full retail on that.
We're going to take a quick break now, and we're going to wrap up today's show right after this.
The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com.
Rogers Dab Chevrolet and GM Performance is proud to be a part of America's largest block party. It's the 27th annual Cruising the Coast, October 1st through the 8th. Great antique, classic, hot rod, and dragsters all along a 30-mile stretch of beach, Bay St. Louis, Biloxi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Pascagoula, and more. Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and GM Performance will be on site October 5th through the 8th at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum, manning the Chevrolet trailer displays. Come see us for additional information at cruisingthecoast.com. Biggest race in the country. Also, Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet GM Performance is proud to be a part of the 10th annual Lone Star 600 at Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite. October 6 and 7, $25,000 to win. Any car can race and is locked into the race. 300 laps, both nights, 7 o'clock start times. Racers from all around the U.S. and beyond. Additional information at LoneStar600.com. Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and GM Performance.
Well, I've been making fun of Mars and his Kona review that didn't happen today. And what did I do?
Saving it for later.
Let's see. I played all of the wrong commercials at the wrong time.
Well, most of them.
Most of them. And then, on top of that, I've lost the clothes. So I don't know. Do I just
his clothes?
I lost the.
So you're going to be naked?
The naked.
The naked ending.
That's it.
It's got a naked
so I don't know
ending.
what I did with it, but it's not.
So put your clothes on.
Yeah, I don't know what I did with it. It's
You got
in here
time.
somewhere.
You got
But see,
49
here's the whole
seconds.
show. See it right there?
And nothing but
You
the
got 45 seconds.
How many?
45. Now you got
show. Oh,
less
you
than
have
that.
it memorized.
Yeah.
That's
You
it
got
for
Mike,
today's
Conrad, Jeff, Don.
That's it for today's In Wheel Time
Hey,
Car
David.
Talk Show.
Bye, y'all.
David. Ainsley.
And we will be back with our live edition of the show next Saturday.
Right
from
here.
8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time. Because we got a time change coming up pretty quick. I don't know when it
First
is.
week in November, I believe.
Is that what it is? It's,
Believe so.
it's later and later every year. But at any rate, we thank you for joining us today on behalf of Mike Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don Armstrong. Have yourself a great weekend and enjoy the fall weather.
Go Astros.
Yeah, buddy.